Dungeon Crawler Network presents Tales of Tamriel.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 77 of Tales of Tamriel, a Dungeon Crawler Network production. I am your host, Aggelos, he who is rooting through every Dwemer pot, even the chamber pots. That's right, gotta find those motifs. That's what I'm doing. With me this afternoon, he who is pretty much sweating away to nothing, Avi Optimal. How are you, sir? Avi.
You're mute. I was muted. That's a good way to begin the show, right?
Yeah, all right. We're off to a good start.
Where'd Avi go? He went off somewhere.
I think
No,
he literally died. It must have been too hot.
Too hot. No, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing really good.
Other than it being hot.
Yeah, and sitting next to my mute button where gotta tuck that away. There we go.
Nice. And the man running the stream. Don't really know how hot it is over there in jolly old England, but I don't know. Is it hot there? Asteldian?
Not at all.
It's
quite pleasant.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
There was a lot of rain the last few days.
Lucky you.
Well, isn't that all London is? Rain? Like, if it's not raining, it's a weird day?
I admit that does tend to be the trend. But we've had extra heavy rain recently.
Oh, if I mentioned that it rained, it was extra heavy rain. Because...
Yeah, exactly. If it took like a month's rain in one night, that's when we talk about, oh, it's rainy over here.
It's very rainy. I see. All right. I'm really kind of curious, like, about how the plumbing system is over there. Like, wonder what their sewers are like. Are they like 8 times bigger than everyone else's to handle all the water flow?
I thought you were going to ask when we still threw our crap out the windows. No, we're all. Our sewers probably are pretty big.
Oh, I see. No, I just dump our crap right out the windows. Oh. What is this, Ukraine? No.
What is this plumbing stuff you talk of?
Nice. All right, before we get going, we need to mention our sponsors. That's right. This episode has been brought to you guys by awesome fans like MIKLK for ESO. That's Mr. Michael, and I'm going to try to pronounce your name, sir. Please do not hate me. It's Lamatang, I think that's the full name. I could be wrong. I am sorry if I mispronounced it, but I am terrible at names. Thank you so much for donating to us, man. We really appreciate it. He's been a listener since episode 1, so dedicated, absolutely dedicated. Nice. And I actually believe he's donated to us before. I should have looked that up. I'm almost positive I've seen it. So thank you for your dedication to us, and we're glad you enjoy the show and that you've been with us. Also, this show has been sponsored by our awesome Patreon supporters who support us every month. Thank you guys. You guys are great. If you are currently not supporting Dungeon Crawler Network but wish to help us out, please consider donating or becoming a patron of ours. As little as $1 a month, get you become a patron of ours. And you can find the links to both of these on our website, dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. Right on the bottom. Scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a little thing says, all sorts of fun things about us. So that's that. If you're unable to support us financially but still wish to support us, why don't you go ahead and tell a friend about us? That's great. We love having new people come to the show. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We're actually getting insanely close to 500 subscribers on there. So thank you so much for all of you guys who have subscribed and have stayed subscribed to us. Thank you so much. And leave us a review on iTunes. We've gotten quite a few and I actually wish I would have looked before the show because I think I checked on Monday or Tuesday, and we hadn't got any newer ones, but we may have got some, and I just didn't get a chance to look. So I will say thank you next week. That's what's going to happen. All right. That's it. Time to move on to the game news. First off, we're going to mention it, but we're not actually going to read it this time because I was actually attempting to get Thais on the show again. She wanted to be on the show today, but we went out with the baby, and baby got cranky, and now he does not want to do anything except for feed. So she was unfortunately unable to be on the show this week. So we won't actually get to read all of it, but there is a new Loremaster archive out on the official Elder Scrolls Online page. It is Politics and the Imperial City from our favorite person in the world, Mr. Abner Tharn. He's my favorite person, right? You guys?
I love Abner. Yeah, he's awesome.
He's so nice.
Big fan of Abner.
Do you really? Like, I mean,
I think it's great.
No real spoilers, but in the final quest, you have to make a decision, and you really want to pick him, but he is the one person you're not allowed to pick. And it annoyed the crap out of me. Because I didn't want to pick the other options. I'm like, oh, why can't we just use you? And nope.
It's because he's smart. That's why I like him. Of course you could have used him. I bet anyone else could have done it. But said, no, I'm really important to this.
No, I'm very important. It can't be me. Yeah. Well, there's that. Obviously, it's all Imperial City themed because of the new Imperial City expansion or DLC coming out. So, I mean, obviously, that's where they're putting their bread in the basket, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know if that's a real term. Is that actually a real term? Do people say
works.
that?
It works.
I was kind of hoping somebody somewhere says it, but I could be wrong.
Isn't all your eggs in one basket?
Eggs in a basket? Why wouldn't you put bread in a basket?
I don't know. Why would you put eggs in a basket?
Well, see, I don't know. I guess eggs in a carton would make more sense. But then again, if you raise your own chickens, maybe you don't have access to cartons and all you have is baskets. I think you'd break some eggs though. I don't know. Can't really say for sure. All right. Well, if you're interested in reading all that in the Q&A, we were going to read it, but I'm sure you guys don't want to hear me talk that long because I am not British, and I don't have Thais' voice, so we're not going to worry about that. I got the strong Thum, but I just don't have that voice. And there were lots of questions. I was actually mulling it around in my head if we wanted to go through it, but I decided against it. So, unfortunately, you'll have to read it yourself. I'm sorry, everyone. Next up in news, this is something that was kind of exciting for me because it's something that I'm interested in. I've been a big follower of raiding in general. And the guild Beyond Infinity, which I think they're EU, to be honest, because they're not on... actually, Asteldian, he could look for us right now. Can you check the leaderboards for Serpent?
I can, if I can remember where they are.
I think, it's
the journal,
under,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's journal and then one of the tabs. Yeah, I always have the hardest time finding it, too. It's like crazy.
Shows how often I'm going here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Video. Doesn't actually say.
Oh, it doesn't?
It just says number one, gives a name.
Oh, it doesn't give... Are they over 100,000?
Yes, it's got to be.
Then it's probably them. Because actually I was talking about this with some of the guildies online before, and hey, we got some people in chat. I am so sorry, I wasn't even looking at chat. Stefan, hello. Michael, hey, I hope I didn't butcher your name too bad, man. I'm glad you're here. And Kipster, nice.
Hello.
Yeah, because I was talking, it was actually Kipster who I was talking to about it, and he's like, are you sure? Because he looked up, he's like, the only people who are up there now are only like 90k, and that's the guild I'm in. And I'm like, oh, maybe they're EU. But yes, Beyond Infinity has scored over 100,000 on Serpent Trial, and that's a pretty awesome achievement, to be honest, because in order to do that, you'd more or less need to have like an insanely fast run, kill everything in the dungeon, and have no one die. And on hard mode. That's the only way you'd be able to do that. So congrats to them. That's really awesome. They are now #1 in the world essentially for raiding Serpent Trial. So very exciting, very very exciting. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. You guys have anything you want to input on that?
Yeah, congrats. I don't know too much about trials, but that's amazing.
You have to go pretty far. Yeah, it's an achievement. It's an achievement.
I think they're about 10 times as much as my guild got when we did it. I think we got 10,000.
Right.
So we've got a
Oh,
way
wow.
to go, I think.
Yeah.
So
And
just to put it in perspective, just completing it with 30 lives spare, you got 10,000 points. These guys are getting 100,000.
that's really far up there. Yeah. Yeah. And the only way you get up that high is hard mode, which is in that was only normal, so you're not going to get even that high with perfect deaths with no no deaths or anything on normal. It would have to be the hard. So that's definitely a thing. So congrats to those guys. Good job, guys. It's really cool. All right. As I close off a couple of these things. All right. Next up, the official Elder Scrolls Online has released a new guide for the Imperial City, talking about its different areas that will be available for us to explore in the Imperial City update when that comes out. It's actually kind of neat because they show a map of the entire Imperial City, which is great. Obviously, a lot of us have seen it before, but there's a couple other things that they really talk about that I really like. First off, they talk about the Arena District. They give a little bit of flavor text about it, but then they actually talk about what you actually find in the Arena District. And they go, in the Arena District, you can fight enemy Alliance players and Zivkin forces. Enter the Imperial Trophy Vault. Those are where you're going to get all the good armor and stuff like that, the Trophy Vaults. And step foot inside the Imperial Arena. Again, it's PvE Arena, except for PvP guys can jump down and attack you. A challenging test of might awaits. Battle against bosses and try to defeat the Ringmaster for a special reward. As you're exploring the Arena District, keep watchful eye out for the roaming emulator Char. Ogrim! Oh no! It's a wandering boss. I actually hear they're pretty difficult too. Like for an open world boss.
Oh yeah.
The only complaints I heard was that the loot was crap, so
Well,
took away some of the thrill.
I was gonna say, isn't the loot crap in most of the game?
Yeah, people just pointing it out. So it take 20 people to kill this thing and you get nothing. It's like, really? Not even any of the sets.
No sets, no nothing of good. No, wow. Well, with
5 gold.
I did the arena, and I don't remember getting anything good as the main prize from finishing that either.
You actually finished it? Did you have
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, with the group, and we fought the last boss, and the trophy comes up, and the glowy stuff, and yeah, it's really cool. But it was packed when I went in, so it went down pretty quick.
Okay.
But yeah, I went in. That was the week I was all in PTS, and it was packed that day. So I went in since then, and there's always 2 to 3 people trying to do it, and you can't get through it. So it's really tough.
There's not a limit, right? Because you could go in there with 100 people if you wanted to, right?
The door's unlocked. If you see 5 DC guys in there battling, and you're part of EP, and you have 10 people with you, you can all run in there, and it's. I don't think there's a limit, but I'm not positive.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I know it's not instant, so
yeah, you have to go through a door, but it's not a big enough instance to where you get a loading screen or anything. It's just that quick black screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of interesting though, because then you don't really know if anyone's fighting in there until you zone in yourself.
No, you can see through the gate.
Oh.
Yep, the gate is hollow. It's just the door is kind of like when you're in PvP and you're going back to the big Ebonheart Pact, and you got to go through that one door just to get to your way shrine. It's just like
Oh,
that.
okay. I know what you're talking about then. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. Interesting. I don't know. I feel like we may see some interesting loot. Like, I feel like it doesn't necessarily need to be good loot at this point. I think it just needs to be VR 15, 16 gear, because if you break it down for the materials, I'm hearing those things are going to be going for crap tons of gold when it comes out. Because I know that's one of the things I'm going to be doing, is just running in there and trying to salvage things so that I can, make money. Make lots of money. All right. Next up, the Arboretum District. They talk about Lady Malega, Spider Daedra, a roaming boss, patrols the Arboretum District streets. Be aware of your surroundings, lest she gets the jump on you. You'll also find the Clawed Trophy Vault, an Arboretum Armory crafting hub in the district. Crafting hubs. Yay! Some of the sets. I like crafting, so that's where I'm going to have to go. So they got one roaming boss throughout there, as well as a crafting hub, and obviously a trophy vault. I think they're talking about these trophy vaults being a really big thing, and they're probably going to have one in every zone, is what it looks like so far. Stop me if you hear anything good.
It takes a lot to collect for one of those, doesn't it? The vaults.
See, I'm not exactly sure. I'm sure you have to do something. I can't remember what it is.
I think you have to collect these things. I believe they're called bone shards.
Okay.
Yeah, 60 of them, I think, innit?
Yeah, 60. Yeah, I think so. I collected 2 of them. And
all the time that you were there? Really?
Yeah, and all the time I was there, I collected 2.
Oh wow! So they are pretty. Did they come off of bosses and everything as well?
Yeah, one of them came off of the. He's like the Zipkin Elite, the guys with the 2 big old flags on their back. I got one off of them.
Right.
And then another one off. I think it was just a boss in the sewers. I can't remember, but I ended up with 2.
Okay. All right. So you need those. I knew there was some sort of currency. I couldn't remember what it was. I haven't played a lot in Imperial City, so. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I heard they were a pain.
Yeah. So I'm curious what they are when you get in there. Anyway, Elven Gardens. As you explore the Elven Gardens, look for the Planar Armory Trophy Vault. You may also run into Zol the Ever Wakeful, who's a Watcher, who's a roaming boss. So really, there's only a roaming boss in that area and one of the treasure vaults. So another one of them vaults. Do the bones... Are they unique bones, or can you use one for wherever you need to go? I'm kind of curious.
I think you just collect... that's a good question, actually. I feel like you just collect them, and then you can go unlock one of the vaults, but I'm not sure if it's like specific bones open specific doors.
Because I'm wondering what's going to stop people from finding the vault that is the quote-unquote easiest, and then just doing that one. I mean... especially if it doesn't matter where you get the stuff, right? Unless everything was random, like, oh, you need a spiteful bone to enter this one, you need a cracked bone to enter this one, and then you just go into whichever one you get the keys for. Or if specific sets drop out of them, I don't know. That'd be kind of
interesting. Maybe it's just like you have to have 30 keys to open this door, but there's not going to be as good as loot in this door if you save up 60 keys and go open that door. But I'm not positive. I don't know.
I think it's 60 for each of them, and I'm guessing you'll probably find different sets in each one. Or is it mainly jewelry you get from the vaults?
Yeah, that's right. It's supposed to be the set jewelry or whatever it is that give you stats, so you can ignore doing some things. That's right. Okay. The Memorial District. There's a lot to see in the Memorial District. This is where you can enter the Imperial City Prison Dungeon to the very north of the zone. You may also find the Bone Shard Trophy Vault, interesting, and Memorial Armory Crafting Hub. And if you smell something a little putrid along the way, Volgas, the Flesh Atronach, may be making his rounds nearby. Memorial District. See, now here's the fact they called this the Bone Shard makes me think that the keys are different.
Yeah.
Because that's the Bone Shard one, right? And in the previous one, it was called the planar armory one. The one before that was the clawed trophy. I'm wondering if the keys are different depending on which one you go with. Like, because you said you got bone shards, yes, but this one's literally called the bone shard, whereas the other ones are called something different. I'm curious if they have different, like, it makes sense.
Well, all I know is if it is like that, certain keys don't drop in certain districts because I can never get into the Memorial District. Too much lag.
Oh, that'd be interesting to see if keys dropped in their respective districts.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, sewers could probably be a little bit of everything.
Yeah, no, they probably do it that way because they're obviously into the spending as much time as you can farming as they can milk out of you. Obviously, with all the big grinds coming, I guess 60 keys is a pain in the ass as it is. Having to get 60 different types for each one, even more annoying.
Absolutely. That. I don't mind a grind though. It is what it is, right? You gotta.
It's something to do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, better than not having anything to do.
And I think they're tradable, aren't they? So you can buy them. So you can either grind out money or grind out the actual shards.
If anyone in chat has any idea exactly, please let us know. I'm really kind of curious to see what people have to say about that because I'm not really sure, and I might actually have to hop into the PTS once it finishes downloading this next patch and see if I can figure it out. And of course, I'm assuming, like you said, different sets are going to drop out of different areas. So I'm going to imagine, like, as a melee cast or like a melee, I'm probably going to be like, oh, you need this set. Oh, this only drops out of the Elven Gardens treasure vault kind of deal. So that's where I'll be farming. And if I get any other keys for another zone, I could trade it to someone else going, hey, I don't need this. I need this other one. So I'll trade you all my claw trophies for bone shards or whatever the case may be. So
yeah, that could be the way to do it.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad.
That's actually a nice way. I like that. The idea you sort of can work together with your guildies or whatever and say, well, I don't need these keys.
Yeah, I don't need these.
Trade your mind for those.
Right. You could even sell them then too. They might end up getting a cost to them, which would be kind of neat.
Oh yeah, there will be a big cost to it.
I mean, I'm all about monetization, not so much cash shop, but in-game stuff. Like give players something to sell, and I've never really been a huge fan of the soul binding of items. I like the economy of games, and I like the ability to sell almost everything in the game. I honestly believe should have a value. Like, I'm not even real fond of junk items. They should just drop gold instead of, oh, I got a torn bat wing. Oh, a vendor might want this. I would rather you just drop gold and everything else be useful in something. Because then players determine the cost of it.
I don't mind trash loot.
I mean, it doesn't break a game for me, but I'm of the notion going, why can't I just have the 3 gold drop that so-and-so would have given me for this torn batwing?
But yeah, well, actually, I admit the sort of pure junk items I'm not that fussed up, but I like where you can get an item where you think, oh, this is useful, I'll sell that for 5 gold. But actually, a more savvy guy's like, well, actually, someone could use this for whatever, and I'll go trade this off. So you're right, I don't really care much for junk items that are literally, hey, sell this for 5 gold.
Yeah, like it serves no other purpose besides that. Yeah, I'd like the ability to, at least then everything would have a value. Every single thing would have some sort of value, and it would be determined by the players. Yeah, do I want to sell this for 5 gold to the vendor, or I could sell it to the guy who's doing leatherworking and he needs this as a leatherworking recipe kind of deal. That's how I feel.
I mean, I think ESO's done quite well, actually, in that regard, in terms of a lot of stuff is for sale. You know, the Ravaging gear. You know, I know people complained, oh, the PvP gear shouldn't be best in slot for PvE. It's like, well, you don't have to PvP because you can buy it. And at the end of the day, you can make a lot of gold in this game. So
this is true. Like, you can literally look at it going, which is easier for you? Can you earn the points faster in PvP, or can you farm gold? For me, it was I could farm gold faster than I could earn it in PvP.
Yeah. I mean, back in the days of Rift, when they first had decent, actually best in slot gear from the PvP, that's what made me go into PvP in the first place. I'm not a PvPer. Before you knew it, I was absolutely hooked, and I became quite addicted to doing all the PvP, and I loved it. And it was because of that incentive to do it. And I think this game's the same idea. You know, there are other options, but I went in and earned myself the AP, and I'm like, yeah, I can actually buy this. So I can save myself 100 grand of gold by buying it with my AP. So it was all much more enjoyable and satisfying.
Would I have rather earned the AP? Yes, I would have. And I like being given the opportunity as well. How do I want to purchase it? Do I want to grind it out, or would I rather farm the gold? And I really think that should be an option for a lot of things. Not everything, just a lot of things. I don't think it should be everything.
Yeah, I mean, you got raid gear and vet DSA is pretty much the only places you can't trade the stuff, and that makes sense because you do run a risk if you can sell the best end game gear. Well, in this game, it's not
it
the best
did
end
have.
game,
Remember,
sadly.
like, what was it? In update 2 or 3 or something like that, they accidentally made the trials
Yeah.
bind on equip, and oh my goodness, the amount of people who were selling them. Like, there
Although
were
I guess
just so many people selling the gear.
the joke was on us. It wasn't an accident at all. They were just making us spend all our money to various people, and then they went, "Oh, by the way, the gear's crap now." Oh, you bugger.
Yeah, it's true. True. All right. Following up, Noble District. That's right. The Nobles District is home to the Legionary Trophy Vault and Nobles Armory Crafting Hub. A word of warning, especially if you travel alone. Be on your guard always in the Nobles District. The swift and silent Baron Thrisk, Grievous Twilight, is always on his hunt for the next mortal victim. You. So yeah, I'm still honestly thinking that the keys are dependent upon each treasure vault. I don't think there's a universal key.
I think you're right. It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to
I've
confirm.
not been over familiar with IC because it's one of those dilemmas. I'd like to go in there just to sort of get more of a know-how, but at the same time, I haven't now the games sort of run new content to death before it's even out. So when it comes out, like, oh yeah, same old. So
Right.
I try and avoid that as much as possible. I did pop into the sewers early with my Templar, realized my old PvP build absolutely sucks in the new IC because of the damage reduction. My build wasn't exactly known for its damage in the first place, and that raid is hit with it's like I'm hitting someone with a pillow. So it's like, yeah, this is bad.
Oh,
So-
you and your maniacal pillow fights.
Exactly. That's why I'm not there now. I went in there. Even the NPCs were a struggle for me. I got to one group of NPCs. I thought, oh dear, this is embarrassing. Yeah, I'll have to worry about it some other time when I've thought of a decent build or changes.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to look. I'll have to see. Finally, the Temple District. While exploring the Temple District, keep your eye out for the monstrous Tooth Trophy Vault and roaming boss Gorgloch the Destroyer, who's a flesh Atronach. So yeah, I'm honestly, each one of these I'm feeling is different. So
Yeah.
I will confirm by next episode, but it does look like you need different shards to open the different treasure vaults. And I would imagine you get them off of the area, the monsters that are in the area. That would just seem logical, right?
Yeah,
At least
makes
to me.
sense. Probably special monsters though, not just trash. I guess it's the elites and all
There
the
might
other
be a small chance to get it off of trash, but probably have a much higher chance off of bigger mobs. That's how most things go. I could be wrong, but I'm probably not. Just saying. All right. Finally, they talk about the Imperial City Prison and the White Gold Tower, as well as the Imperial Sewers. And they go into a couple other things, like the bases and everything like that. It's a nice guide to get you started. It really is. It really, really is. All right. Let's go ahead and chat a little bit about the next thing on the list, and that is PTS patch 2.1.1 is now out on the PTS, and I'm actually downloading it now. It is an incremental patch on the PTS that fixes a number of issues in the Imperial City, including some of the common crashes many of you were experiencing, gameplay, itemization, UI, and more. We made several changes to Imperial City, its dungeons, and the Telvar Stone system based on your feedback, and are also testing out new rule sets to enter Imperial City itself in this patch. All PC, Mac, European Mega Server characters are copied over in this patch, and the size of the update is approximately 6 gigs for English, 5 for German, 4 for French. Thanks for everyone sending your feedback, blah, 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 blah. So they've introduced new templates for VR16, so that's kind of neat. So you can test out VR16 related things.
but not raids.
But not raids. Well, I mean, you could test out the raids, but they're VR14, so who would really give a crap anyway? But that's a thing. Yeah. I think this is also the patch where they reduce the Telvar stone droppage from 100% to 80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a token change. I don't see it as a big deal, to be honest. I don't think it's going to make losing them that much less painful. So
It looks like they're also testing out in PvP the Cyrodiil campaigns for victory. The new Sword of the Crusader campaign. They're talking about having in here that all objectives in Cyrodiil, when you capture them, contribute 1 point towards victory. So, yeah. I mean, that won't focus so much on taking keeps as much as taking everything. You can farm a lot of points just by taking over the mills and things. So that could mess with the gameplay a little bit, change that up.
yeah, I mean, as I mentioned a while back when Brian Wheelis first mentioned the changes, I was looking forward to. I thought it was true, but it's actually Haderus, where keeps give you nothing and only resources give you points. Because I thought that would really encourage the small gameplay, as it were, because you do much quicker scoring if you're split off and go in your small groups rather than zerging around.
Right. I wonder if this is going to be turned into like Guild Wars 2 though, with their system does points as well for that kind of thing, and Guild Wars 2 system is very much a tap the node and you can do it with like one person if it's not fully upgraded. So it's just a wait. Oh, look, the guy has a buff saying it was taken recently, so I know I can't capture it. Wait till the thing drops and then take it kind of deal. I don't know. It just becomes not so much of a PvP fight as a let's run around in circles and wait for someone to take something, then we take it back. I don't know. It is what it is.
I don't know. There's so many resources on a map. You just be splitting out and getting as many as you can. You just bump into people on the way. I don't know. You might be right. People always find a way to take away the point of the PvP. So
Cyrodiil is very big, so the chances are that you're probably gonna run into people, and you'll probably be able to run into people a lot more now that there'll probably be more groups out there, right? Because you're gonna want.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be one massive Zerg that's heading to Alessia now. It's gonna be there's 15 groups out there running all over the place trying to get whatever they can get.
exactly, that's my hopes for the idea of it anyway. Although, as I say, everyone's going to be an IC anyway, so I doubt it makes much difference.
Yeah, I think a lot of the small group people are just gonna hang out in IC.
Although it sounds like the Zergs are there too, so maybe we'll get more small combat on the actual Cyrodiil map.
I don't know. I'm still thinking. I really do believe, like with all my being, that we're gonna have the return of buff campaigns, but it's not gonna be buffs so much as this is our IC campaign, this is yours. I really do feel like that's what's gonna happen.
It all depends on the rules. I reckon if they just keep it as home bases, I don't think it's really necessary because it's nice. It's only need 3 keeps to stay out. Would you really have a buff campaign when it'd be kind of more fun to go around hassling anyone else? If there's a buff campaign, you'd all just move over and ruin someone's buff campaign all the time, wouldn't you? Because you only need to take 3 keeps to do so, so pretty easy to do.
Right.
Unlike a buff campaign, we have to take the whole Imperial center. That's a full-on evening of doing. But to take 3 home keeps won't take long at all. I think it'd be more effort than it's worth trying to keep hold of a buff campaign. Because most people won't even bother getting in the way of each other. Everyone will have their home keeps and then be in IC. So do you really need a buff campaign for most of the time?
Yeah, you're probably right. Probably right there. Oh, we'll have to wait and see. I don't know. It's going to be interesting in any regard just to see how it works out. Because I just honestly feel that's what's going to happen is somebody's going to go... There's going to be a guild out there. I mean, there always is. We have our big EP guilds. There's the big DC and big whatever, who, especially when there was trial campaigns, like these big trial groups, when they decided, hey, we're doing trials tonight, we want our buffs, they went out and took everything. Just these massive guilds. And I mean, that was all
without the buffs, the PvE guys rather aren't going to be doing that.
Oh yeah, unless they want Imperial City.
Yeah, but by doing that, then they're going to go into Imperial City, and then they're going to lose the campaign outside because everyone's going to be inside the Imperial City, so they have to keep leaving again if they've tried to actually lock it down.
It's hard to do
you might be right.
Proper farming if you're worried about, oh crap, they just went and took our keeps again, and now they can get in too. and now how are we gonna maintain our 50 streak or our 4x multiplier, whatever the case may be, if we're worried about getting ganked?
Yeah.
I don't know. It is what it is. And then they talk about a little bit more bug fixes, et cetera, et cetera. So if you haven't got out there, check it out yet. Hop on out on the test server. I mean, it's nice to hop in and just play with it. Like, I've been in the Imperial City as well. I'm sort of with you. I like testing content, but I also don't want to run it out for me. So I don't spend huge amounts of time in there unless it's insanely buggy, and then I report lots of bugs. So if it
no
seems,
love for the Templars, by the way.
say what?
No love for the Templar in the patch.
No love for Templars. No. I have to look. There's the DLC game pack and the base game patch as well.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, it's mostly bug fixes and things like that. It's nothing really.
It's also got a few more things for his stamina. A little bit more love there. Still not.
Well, the
enough, I
Nords
don't
are
think,
getting their buff to the extra 9% health, so that's awesome because that means I can just move more attribute points out of health into my other stats.
Yeah, it's a little bit helpful and make it a bit less painful. But again, I mean, you got to consider a lot of people at end game, or rather the hardcore guilds that were, they already put all 62 points of their stat in their damage one. So for people like us, it's good because I have to put health in to get my 20,000. And
Yeah.
you're probably the same. So for you, yeah, you can change it over so at least you get a gain. But it's like when everyone says the Imperial's best for stamina or whatever. It's like, well, actually, if you're already using 2 points in your stamina, they're not really the best because that 12% extra health isn't helping DPS. Whereas the Orc, for example, with the melee boost, or a Red Guard with the extra sustain would work out better.
Right. Right now, I have to sit with I have 23, and now I could probably drop a few points, maybe like 3 or 4. But it's not enough for me to be willing to respec for it. But yeah, I have 23 points in health to maintain that 20k. That's what I currently have. Would it be nice to move it elsewhere? Yeah, I'd love to have it all in stamina and then just worry about it. And I've seen some other people with the higher champion points can do that. I just don't have it yet, so I have to wait.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. All right. Next up, they released another Meet the Character. This is Father Egnatius. That's what I'm going to call him. That's right.
That works.
Yeah, that's what's going to be called. Again, another one of these interesting little books from our friend Chancellor Tharn talking about...
It's actually from Mana Marco.
Oh, it's from Mana Marco to Chancellor Tharn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives a little bit of talking about this character. Those, again, they're kind of neat. All right. Let's go ahead into our last little bit of game news before we talk about our discussion topic this week. They released new, or not released, it was Datamined, but we found some more Crown Store items, it seems. 2 of which I'm not real fond of.
Yeah.
And that would be the Vampire and Werewolf bites that seem to be available in the Crown Store coming forward. Huh.
Yeah.
Does that
Who wants to
technically
start with this one?
Who's really surprised? Step 1, it appears for the PTS.
Oh,
now
wow,
Now that they've got the item, why not make some money out of it?
I'm not really surprised with Zos, and I'm very disappointed with Zos evermore every single week with this Crown Store. I really am. I am not fond of their practices. They obviously feel very money grabby at this point. They add less and less to the game. I don't mind if you augment. I mean, come on, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, they augment with the cash shop as well with a subscription fee, but they don't do it as often. Now, I know we're buy to play. Okay, I get that. But some of these things, you gotta give people a reason to actually play the game. And this is not it. Someone else.
All right. So what I'm curious is, when you want to go become a werewolf, say, and you go to Riften or wherever to get it, how hard is it to find a werewolf to actually bite you? Near impossible. I've tried it. It's not the easiest thing to do. So what do? You get a bite from somebody else. If you don't have friends, most likely you're going to have to pay some gold for it or go through a whole whole process. My problem with this is more on the line that there's not enough ways in the game right now to become a werewolf or a vampire. So it's like, yeah, you might as well sell it in the store because it's you might as well, because the only other way to get it is go hunting for a werewolf or just ask one of your friends, or I don't know. I think that instead of putting it in the store, they should add more ways in game to become a werewolf than just looking for the bite by a random werewolf or by one of your friends. I think that's my biggest problem with it. They should add more in game ways, not just put it in the crown store and say,
I would be
all right, well, we'll
perfectly
leave it like
fine
this.
with in-game ways.
Yeah.
There needs to be ways for people to actually, get it somehow. Now, I think one way that they would be able to do it is like right now, like werewolf bites and vampire bites, they only come out once in a while, like at night, only during. Why not just make it every night? You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
seriously.
Rather than it has to be under a certain moon. Then it's pretty much whenever you're in Rift and just wait for it to be dark out. What is that, 4 hours? If that?
Or put the companions in the game, you go through the companion quest line,
Or
you can get a werewolf bite,
a quest
you
line,
know?
yeah, to turn into
Yeah.
one. That would be interesting. Yeah.
Just like in Skyrim.
Heck, I would rather be happy with any. They should just add it so it's like a super small chance to contract the disease from any werewolf or vampire.
Yeah, that too. Seriously.
Anyone could give it to you. It could be, I would say make it super low, like 0.5%. Because just by the course of playing the game, even if you didn't want to be bit, you could get infected. Then you have to go cure yourself. Now, it's
Yeah.
or wait for it to go away. I mean, to cure yourself, I think it should be free if you didn't accept it. Just go to a priest and go, hey, I've got vampirism and I don't want it. Or wait for it to go away. But it really should. I think anyone, because that's how it happened in Skyrim, any vampire character gave you the chance of contracting it.
And even in Skyrim, it costed something to heal yourself. You had to get yourself a big black-filled soul gem, which is not easy to get if you get infected with vampire in the beginning of the game in Skyrim. So
Right.
I don't mind. I don't mind if you randomly get bit and all of a sudden you got to go to a priest and spend 300 gold. It's kind of like a service thing. But
I think that would be more annoying than anything. It worked in Skyrim, but in here, the amount of creatures you're fighting, even a low chance, let's face it, every time you go into a delve full of them, you're going to come out with that disease. I mean, if they want to add it, that's fine, but I think having to go cure yourself each time, just by not accepting the quest, surely that's enough because you're refusing to go with it.
I'd be fine
yeah,
with
that
the
works.
disease disappearing after like 24 hours if you don't accept the quest. You know what I mean? And you don't even have to do that. Like if even werewolf and vampire bites give you a timer going, it's normally like a week or something like that, but
yeah,
you could just let the timer run out. If you don't accept the quest, you just let the timer run out. But I really think it would just be make it a super low drop chance, not drop chance, but like, oh, it's a 0.001% chance that any one of these could get it. And over the natural course of gameplay, go, oh, look, I'm infected. Do I want to keep it? Do I not? And then the people who would want to do it have a way of knowing the path to getting it, which is just go fight vampires and werewolves, because at that time you're also doing a bunch of different stuff for your character. You're earning money by playing the game. You're earning experience to either level your character or earn more champion points, and you're experiencing the content, making the world feel lively. And who knows, you could get lucky. Oh, first one got me. Or you could be in there for a while, but I mean, is it any different? You would at least have a known path to doing it. And or ask your friends.
I think the Crown Store was more of a lazy addition necessary than, I mean, obviously
it's a cash grab.
Yeah,
it's to an extent, but it's also lazy because at the end of the day, the reason it came in, not just for the cash, is because there's just so many scammers around. Because that's where the problem comes. Because the idea of sharing bytes is kind of a community thing, but let's be honest, in most MMOs, there's not much of a community left. You just sort of go find someone, pay them, and off you go again. And in this, you pay them, and then they run away with your money. They could have solved the problem by having a much smarter trade system. I don't know, you know how Final Fantasy does the gem installing when you're a crafter. So you open a window, give them money, and in return they sort of give you the byte as part of the trade window or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And that could have stopped the scamming, but basically the confirmation of scamming obviously has come back again since since the consoles, because they're going through the PC world, how we went the last time. And yeah, rather than come up with a proper solution, they've gone, well, we'll just make some money out of it, put it on the Crown Store, solves the problem there and then.
Right. Yeah, I hate when I even hate when they add mounts to the Crown Store, just because it's like, why couldn't have this? I know you would need money, and I fully support you guys. Come on, I buy your stuff all the time, but for everything you put in the Crown Store, there should be a converse one added to the game that people can get while playing the game, because that was just what you did, you know? It doesn't even have to be as cool. Just a way to earn it in game. Oh, here's one for the cash shop. Oh, and this one you get by doing this quest chain out in so and so. You know, that's what you do.
Or like make the normal guar and the normal horses that are in the store available in the game, and then when you have a big crown item thing, make it like the big frost horse like they had. Because I don't expect to go walk into Morrowind and walk by one of their stables and see them have 2 frost horse sitting out there for display.
Yeah,
and going, you know. So I understand those kind of horses.
The frost horse could be that's a special mount. Oh look, it's flashy. Yeah. But then again, put other stuff in there.
To be fair, you say that, but didn't everyone start questioning when they said they're going to start selling the trophies you can get? People were like, well, why would you bother? You just do the quest and get it. Well, isn't that kind of the point? That's what people you've been asking for, is the idea that you can get it both in the Crown Store or do the quest. And yet
I'm not so much asking for that, because I know people would rather do the quest instead, which I really think you should, other than super grindy stuff. And then there should be clear, separate ones. This is a cash shop item. This is an in-game item. But right now, look at the areas. There's only 2 costumes you can get in game, 3 horses you can get in game, and 1 pet. Everything else is cash shop, and that balance is not right. This is as bad as a Korean free-to-play MMO at this point, with the exception of no pay-to-win, which I don't know. I kind of think the Vampire Werewolf could be kind of pay-to-win, because you are getting a power boost, technically.
Yeah, but then they nerfed him.
Well, yeah, and they nerfed them. I don't like that, and yeah, it's not cool.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So, next up, they're releasing a few more costumes. 3 of them we already knew about, which are the Nord hero, Elf hero, and Breton hero from the Blur trailers. Avi, I know you're super excited about that one.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to get that Breton armor on like 4 of my characters I have planned.
All of them. Yeah. I actually really like the Nord armor, and I would probably wear that. But then again, I already saw the new Imperial ones that are coming out, and I love the Imperial armor, so I will likely be doing that instead.
The female Nord armor looks really good too. I was surprised.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. They're also adding a couple other things, a few mounts and 2 other costumes, one being the Scarecrow Spectre, Pumpkin Spectre polymorphs, as well as a skeletal guar, a skeletal horse, and a skeletal senshi. Now, the way they explain this, and I can't remember where I heard it, but it came from one of the devs. I think it might have been during one of the ESO Lives, is doing one of the Q&As, where they were talking about holiday events in MMOs, and they said they're not going to add any holiday events to MMOs, or to this game, because of the lore of the game, but they will add stuff to the cash shop, the Crown Store, as way of holiday. So I imagine these skeletal guars and the Spectre polymorphs will likely come around Halloween time. Because they very much are Halloween themed. So I'm imagining we're going to start seeing some themed-ish. Hopefully they don't break the lore too bad. I don't want to see reindeer. We talked about this prior to. No reindeer, please. Okay.
No Rudolph. I don't want a big red nose.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, this game has such great lore. Do not break it. You know, just don't. You can get away with that in some other games. This game, even the skeletal stuff, I can see it only because necromancy is such a big thing in the world, but even that is kind of like, okay, you're walking a real razor's edge here. I see where you're going, and that fits, but how far are you going to go? But yeah.
Oh, please, by next year you'll have Santa hats.
Santa hats. Yeah. It's Nordmiss. That's what it's called. Nordmiss.
In Skyrim mods, they call it Saturalia.
Saturalia.
It's lore, right? Isn't it? Nords are basically Santa Claus and his family.
They technically
big
are
bushy
one big
beards,
Nord. Yeah, big bushy beard.
like live in the snow.
It's Talos Claus.
Talos.
Hey. Talos Claus, and of course the Grinch would obviously be an Altmer, so makes sense.
that'd make a great little stories book right there.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. They're also looking at a baby Netch. Oh my goodness. A Markarth bear dog, as well as a black and a brown goat, has been data mined, and I will have the website in the podcast description, so you can check that out. I've been adding all of that into the thing now, so you can check that out and check out the images that were data mined. These aren't screenshots.
How about those goats?
Oh, those goats, man.
How about those goats, man? They remind me of the Goat Simulator game.
That's what I was
every time I look at one, I'm just like, man, I'm gonna look back and picture my goat just like running into stuff and breaking everything. And
I really hope they sell a Thume on the thing, just like a cosmetic Thume, and then I can have my goat out, and then I can Thume my goat, Fusro Dodd, off a cliff, and just see it go flying like in Goat Simulator.
Classic.
That's my goal. Just so you know. Yeah, see, this is the type of crazy stuff you get into, just so you know. All right. That was it. I'll have that posted in our episode description so you guys can look at this. These are just the images that you would see in the Crown Store. This is what was data mined. All right. Let's see. Chat room's kind of quiet today. Come on, chat room. ESO Live. This is what we're going to talk about for just our discussion topic. I'm actually going to hit a couple things before I really talk about what I really want to talk about. First off, a new arena is coming, like a Dragonstar arena. This is a PvE arena, no PvP, so I guess.
Cool.
Yeah. I still haven't got to do Dragonstar Arena, but I hope
we'll take you through there. We'll just.
Well, I think DSA has probably been the best content to date. So
I honestly think so too. DSA
another arena
really
is definitely good.
But there is a new arena coming for Orsinium, so that's exciting. There was a question asked about trials. Yeah, this is something I'm kind of about, and I know a couple people in the guild were the same way. We were talking about this. Trials are not going to be scaled with this update. Dungeons will be, but trials won't. And Rich gave the answer that the reason why they're not is because the dungeons are not currently set up to be scaled, because the team that handles the scaling is working on Orsinium. And I really kind of feel like this is, kind of a BS answer, because
I was going to say it's total BS in it.
I mean, there's a very large populace, and I know you PvP guys, and you're like, well, we don't get any love for PvP. Well, here's the thing. PvP is its own self-contained beast. You guys don't need the developers to make content for you. You make your own content. So, that's... I mean, I understand you get some stuff, and I feel for you for there. But in reality, your game continues as long as there are people to fight. Whereas the PvE side of things in a theme park MMO is entirely dictated by what the people put out. So why would you completely ignore your raiding fan base by removing our really desire to do it? Does it really take that much development time to scale these up? Asteldian, why don't you rant for a bit so I don't have to?
Oh, I mean, it's just... I can't believe it's that much hassle for them to sort it out, to scale. They did all the dungeons, and they take longer than the bloody trials do at the end of the day. So how hard was it to have gone, okay, well, while we're doing it, we've got these 4 bosses to scale up. No one gives a crap about the trash anyway, really. So whatever, just be lazy there, throw some more hit points on them, job done.
Right.
But you couldn't do something with the 4 bosses. it's not like we're asking you to redo the actual mechanics of these guys, although we'd appreciate if you did with some of them. But we're not asking for all that much. Just better you make it scale and the loot to scale so that you can do raids and get VR 15, 16 gear, which you can then dismantle to get some of the relevant material.
Or
I mean,
revisit the darn set and maybe
yeah,
make it
yeah.
viable.
Well, I was going to say, I obviously got the problem that the sets are crap anyway, so even VR16, they're still worthless, and that's been a problem forever. They could have completely revitalized the raid scene by turning around and saying, right, there's VR16 version, and look, we've sorted out this crap gear.
Yeah.
Suddenly everyone wants to do the raids again.
We freaking added 20 new sets. Well, why don't you just fix the 50 that are already in the game that no one uses?
If nothing else, you could have gone, right, VR 1516, guess what? Those funky sets that, okay, aren't mainstream, but do have uses for some people. Worm Cult, the Ebon stuff, they said, oh, we're not going to scale that stuff. Fine, don't scale it for dungeons, but have it drop in the trials, which is scaled to 16, so you can get better 16 versions of this stuff, but only in trials. As I say, they're not used for everyone, but the Ebon one's great. The 2 sets of health and a set for your entire group. The Worm Cult, reducing the cost for everyone in the group. Not necessarily what everyone's going to be using, but one person in the group doing it is appreciated. And the VR16 version of it, perfect. How easy is that? You're not even changing any loot. You're just scaling up what you currently got.
Right.
And making use of sets which are going to be obsolete. Because, the Ebon one's already VR12, and they'll be even worse when VR16 comes along, and they've already told us they're not going to upgrade them for God knows why. They've decided not to boost them up to 16. That's always a crime anyway. But you could have at least done that. Yeah, you don't get it from the dungeons anymore, but you can get the VR16 version in the trials. So hey, do some trials again.
Yeah, it would just give people a reason to actually run trials. I can't even think of a reason to run trials anymore.
Now that we've done Sanctum, I mean, we still want to go in there a bit, and we'd like to do the hard modes. But honestly, it's just hard to get 12 people because no one gives a crap. You go in there, you get no experience really. I mean, obviously, if you're a good raid, you do it in 10 minutes. The experience ratio is pretty impressive. But for your casual raiders, it's a long time. You've got no real loot. You've got no experience. You end up with a bill that costs you more than the actual loot you got from the dungeon. Ironically, you'd be more ahead by not logging in for the night.
Right.
It's like, it's just so hard to try and get 12 people to come anymore. It's like, especially as we've done it before anyway. At least VR16 would be, again, a new challenge in terms of that.
Right.
But, I don't know, just no incentive.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of the problem for the game itself is... And, I'm kind of against the whole... Yeah, we'll talk about the whole having to incentivize your players to play the game. Unfortunately, that's a problem with the player base, but we've been so indoctrinated with that type of... For the past 10 years, that's the way players are right now. You have to incentivize us to play your game.
Well, I mean, yes and no. That's kind of a reality anyway. If you do stuff, yes, it is fun, but because an MMO is designed to play constantly, there's only so many times you can run a zone where it's fun before it's like there's no point in doing this because the fun slowly starts to drop off unless there's that excitement of something to get. I mean, that DSA we've run loads, even though I don't need anything in there. It was fun to do, and it was still fun to do with different groups for a very, very long time for me, especially if they're more difficult. But once you've got a good group and we're running it again, you it's kind of lost the difficulty, as it were, because you're getting better as players.
Right.
It started to become a bit less, it's a bit more mundane. Now you're quickly running it for quick 2 champ points and maybe some loot you can sell or whatever, but suddenly you're starting to lose the actual excitement of it. And that's inevitable. And, you've got content, you're going to get kind of bored of it, and having something you can get out of it somehow keeps the thrill going, because you just never know what's going to come out of that loot drop. Will I get that VR master sword or the master weapon I want? Will I get X, Y, Z? It just brings that excitement into it, even if it's weird because the content's still the same and technically it should still be boring, but for some reason there's a thrill involved, and suddenly the content doesn't seem so dull either. But when you've got nothing, it's just, and I don't think that's necessarily a player-based thing, that's just the fact of MMOs. You have to play them a lot, you have to do the same content again and again, because there's no way a dev team could ever keep up with you anyway.
Right.
So that's what you have these carrots for. If you had a game, for example, if ESO brought out a dungeon builder, because I think Neverwinter Nights did that, didn't it? That free-to-play game.
Yep.
You or Neverwinter Online, and other people could make the dungeons. Well, if you're telling me every week this, I've never done this dungeon before, that would be fun. If you could have player-made content so you keep up with the player base, that would be a different story. You wouldn't necessarily have to say there must be amazing loot here, because you are doing it for the excitement of doing it for the first time, and then you do it, and then you move to another dungeon, and constantly. But if you're relying on a dev team to give you the content, they'll never keep up, and so you need carrots to keep people playing the same stuff again and again and again. And if that's not there, you're going to start having trouble.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right. Speaking of raids, someone asked if we're ever going to see bigger raids. Rich pretty much said raids will never go above 12 man because there's a bunch of different reasons for that. I'm actually kind of fine with that. I like the smaller. I think 12 is a nice number. It's fine with me. I don't think you need to have, because after a certain amount of raid, like one of the better raiding games right now, Final Fantasy 14, does 8 man. Now they do have like a 24 man raid, but it's a cluster. That's all it is. It's a giant Zerg fest where people ignore mechanics most of the time. If they do hit, you got 12 healers, so who cares? You know, it's as long as people aren't asleep, it's almost impossible to fail.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what Rich said he doesn't want happening in this game. He was like, I don't want 20 people all hitting on one boss. So that's not the idea we have for our game when it comes to a raid. So I like that.
I'm totally on side with that because it's true. I mean, that's the reason why I loved Vet DSA so much, because it was a 4-man content and everyone had to hold their weight. In reality, the more people you get in a raid, and the better they get as players, the more you get to slack, because it just becomes more DPS, less mechanics, because you can escape all. It's like the best players in Vet DSA, even they found a way to cheese it all by just killing everything before it comes out the portals and making it easy. But in a raid, as you say, even now, you know, people have done, I think, is it 6, maybe even 4-man Manticore in Sanctum? So you could argue technically you've already got 8 people more than you need to do that trial boss. And it's not a fault with the boss, because I can assure you that boss is a pain in the ass to kill. It's just the players have got so good they can do it now. But in theory, you can get good enough to do it with 4. So if you're running with 20 people, that means you can have a real bunch of slackers with you. You know, not very good, not learning the game at all, because they get carried basically.
Mm-hmm.
In Rift, they have 20 man and 10 mans. I had no problem with that, but I'll tell you now, I found that 10 man's much more exciting to do, because you had to have a real elite core to do them. And then for the 20 man, you kind of grabbed whoever you could, because you need to get 20 people to do the raid. And it was telling, but you could get away with it, really. You just needed bodies to throw in there. And that's, I mean, some of those raids were good, but the thrill of having 10 people was better. So 12 man, I am happy with. I know some people love the old big fat raids, and EQ1 had 60 man raids or whatever. It was just silly numbers, but it was just a runner. In that game, it was different. You only had auto attack really for most of classes, so
yeah,
you were just running through there to make it feel epic. But nowadays, with all the different rotations and skills and stuff, I think 10 man, 20 man you could do, but I think 12 is an excellent number.
Yep, perfectly fine. It's not too difficult to get that many people, especially if you're in a type of raiding type community. But it's not just insanely easy that you could, you know, there's sometimes a little bit of planning that needs to go into it. And yeah, that's how it works. On top of that, they did say that they are currently working on a new trial. So that's awesome. That really is. So we will be expecting a new trial here. I'm going to assume with Orsinium, since the next 2, like we already know the next 3 DLC, Orsinium in Q4, the Dark Brotherhood in Q1 2016, and then the Thieves Guild in Q2. And that's what we know about so far, which is great. We know all that. So this one will probably become one of those, because they've also said they have 3 teams currently working. They have their live team or their whatever, then they have working on the next 3 DLC. That's how they're currently working, with 3 teams to constantly keep things rolling out. So that's kind of nice to know. Now we're gonna.
So hold on.
Okay.
So the guys who are scaling aren't the ones working on the trial. They're working on the DSA instead. I'd have thought your trial team would be the ones who would be working on the scaling if they're going to do it. So it better be Orsinium, because frankly, if it's not, get them to pause for a week and freaking sort out the scaling on what's out there, rather than worry about what's coming up the bloody Dark Brotherhood or the Thieves Guild. Just make them work overtime later.
Yeah, don't let them leave.
Yeah,
fix the darn scaling already.
Yeah, so if it's not with Orsinium, I will feel that the non-scaling of these raids is even cheekier.
Yeah. I don't know. I really feel like these guys are taking rating as a backseat. Because I'm gonna call out, and some people can tell me, but I really do feel like the console players have something to do with this. Because as a whole, even if you look at this, and you can actually look at their own metrics, they mention this, that they looked at the metrics, and console players do more solo than anything. Like, that's what they do, and that's what they're used to.
That's because you can give them a bloody chat box.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, like they
That's true.
that maybe that will change, but that's I feel like they're taking and going, maybe like originally when they first announced Murkmire, it was a adventure zone. It was the next Craglorn. Now they're talking about it as, no, it's not going to be. Like, I really think they went, okay, we tried the rating. We have some rating people, but we don't have enough, so let's just scrap rating and go from there. Like, when they announced there wasn't going to be any raids in this game, I actually stopped following it. Like, I was like, nope, that's it, because that's the type of gameplay that I like. Like, as much as I love the world and everything, raiding is what I like to do. And when they, I just got a potent Nerncrux. that just halted my entire thought. Oh, no, okay. When they said there was no rating back a long time ago, that before the game came out, that made me stop looking at the game. Like, I was not planning on grabbing it. It was only afterwards, like 5 months afterwards, they're like, oh, we were misquoted. We just meant there's not going to be any, giant raids like what you're used to in Warcraft, which at first it was, if we're not going to have, a dozen players beating on a 30-foot tall person, well, that kind of went out the window. And then I think they kind of refined their vision to these short little no timeout kind of games, which, whatever, right? I would prefer the longer ones with a timeout, so that way the dungeons felt more epic and you had to go back. But, I'll get what I can get, all right? But if they're just pretty much going to say screw trials except for one every year, that's not enough to hold me.
Well, I think it's kind of like before the game released, they kept on saying this one thing. They kept on saying, we're trying to find that thin line between the Elder Scrolls fans and the MMO fans. And it definitely feels like this game has made a complete shift towards just trying to be a Skyrim with friends. That's why I think we see a lot of these things entering the store now, is because they're like, oh, but we don't want people sitting in chat typing need werewolf fight. We just want you to have your werewolf fight and get into Tamriel and play the game. And I think that's also kind of maybe why they don't focus too much on trials, why they don't want big men trials coming into the game. Just more of a we're taking the Elder Scrolls approach over the MMO approach. I mean, I hardly hear the word MMO get used anymore, so.
Well, the thing is, I find, you mentioned earlier that obviously the console's mostly playing solo. To be fair, a lot of them aren't end game yet. So
this is true.
And the reality is, if they're using that metric, they're making a mistake, because the reason why people solo is because this game, along with every other one nowadays, modern MMOs, is that they are all designed as solo games till the end. In order to try and appease to everyone, they've done this weird thing where MMOs is just mass market and not actually mass multiplayer, which is a whole other rant for me anyway. I mean, in the reality, I know that there's no AAA game anymore that I'll play and I enjoy this game, but it's not what I want from an MMO, and no AAA game will ever be able to do it, because I don't want a solo-focused game where when you get to the end, you go, hey, we've got these instance dungeons, hey, we've got these instance trials, because that's no good for me. I want a game where I need to be in a group to do stuff. That's the whole point of an MMO. I want to play with other people. That's why I find single-player games boring. You know, I'm a D&Der. Everything we did was always with a party. EverQuest 1, you would dare step foot beyond the first zone without getting some friends, because you're going to die wherever you went. And most modern gamers don't want that anymore, so they do solo. So yeah, the console players are all soloing because they're not end game, because the game doesn't provide you group content until you get to end game. Sure, there's a few dungeons dotted around, but most people don't even do that, because you just wait till you get to 45 so you can actually do the pledge with it.
Right. So you can get the reward, the carrot on the stick.
So, yeah, exactly. So soloing is what games do. So I'd hope that's not their reason for not doing trials. I also hope it's not because they're trying to give up on them. I mean, I'm not a big raiding type guy, actually. If they were to tell me they're going to give regular content similar to the Vet DSA of that kind of standard for a small group, that would be enough for me because I love doing that sort of stuff. So if you brought out all sorts of really good 4-man content, not just the pledge type dungeons because they're good, but Vet DSA was a whole other level.
Mm-hmm.
You keep producing that sort of stuff, I'd be happy. You're right, the raiders wouldn't, but as a group person, I would. And then you don't need to put a trial every so often because I would be that fussed. But I'd like to see a lot more group content come because Skyrim with friends, even that's a bit of a stretch because, as I say, you've got all the way to VR14 on your own. You can join with other people if you want, but A, the questing's not that convenient with another person, and B, there's no need to do it for any of the content.
Yeah.
So they seem a bit, I don't know what to do, but I hope trials aren't a goner, and I hope a lot of trials keep coming, but more importantly, more arena type style hard content. It doesn't have to be an arena as such. I'd love to see a bit more of an exciting dungeon, but arena style, as it were. They're really good mechanics, lots of different bosses.
Right.
In a way, that would be a raid, but 4-man. It's 4-man, a raid style of an old game you remember, but as a 4-man dungeon type thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, I get you there. Yeah, I'm not really hung up on the number either. It's just like you said, it needs to be difficult content that you can't beat in 3 wipes. That's what raids always were.
That's the key, isn't it? When you think raid, you think hard content. The numbers isn't necessarily the key factor here.
Exactly. Would I be happy if they only did 4-man raids, but they were difficult and people were struggling on them for months? Yeah, I would be incredibly happy. Because I want that difficult challenge, the thing to look at and go, I'm going to beat that one day. It doesn't
how exciting was that DSA when it first came out before they got nerfed down? It was epically hard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing. And we were all excited. I remember listening to the podcast back then, and it was all very exciting. So, this thing is brutal. We got to stage 3 after 100 lives were all wiped out. It was impossible. It was very exciting stuff. Yeah,
I was following Twitter and all the big guilds to see when people would get it. Like, so-and-so's down this turn. Yay! No, it's not that way. I would be fine with it. Yeah, I don't really care about the numbers so much as long as it's difficult content. And to be honest, they haven't really been doing that because even their vet dungeons, other than when you're learning the mechanics, are they really difficult? Not really.
They keep nerfing them. That's the flipping problem. They keep bowing down to, I don't know, a lot of people just don't like it or something. Again, when they first put in scaling, oh my god, Spindle Clutch was brutal when you fought Prax and his bajillion ads. It was a bit overscaled, arguably, but instead of slightly tweaking it, they just went boom and completely destroyed it. It's like, oh, now it's really quite laughable. The first time I did that after they nerfed it, it's like, this is a joke. It could, we almost 2-manned it on the PTS when
we did.
Really, we got through the first 3 phases. Only when the boss popped up and once the Visa was being stolen.
And if I had been a little bit more of maybe a mage type Templar,
a Magicka Templar, we would have
who could then switch to a healing bar. Oh, we'd have been fine. Yeah.
And could you imagine if when that first came out and scaled, there was no way you have 2 men finishing that.
There were barely ways you could beat it with 4 men.
Same with the gargoyle.
Yeah.
The gargoyle, the DPS check. Yeah, it's not a DPS check anymore, is it?
No, it's actually people go in with 1 tank and a DPS to test DPS, and they still kill him.
Yeah, he's nothing more. He's become nothing more than a glorified test dummy, a DPS dummy. That's what he's become. That's how sad it is.
You did. We went in there on the PTS and just let's just test our builds. Okay, you were testing your tanking, and I was doing my DPS.
That's what we did in 1.6 as well. We're like, I took my guild mate. We're like, let's go test our DPS and our tank builds and just sit here and kill this thing. It's like that poor gargoyle. Once upon a time, people feared him, and now, unless you're a completely brand new bunch of players, it's not difficult at all.
Yep.
Even for brand new players, it's not, with their weird sort of, I've only soloed up to this point, I'll go in here. Even that's enough to get through. A group of people using their solo builds, so you don't have to worry about fine tuning or anything. Funny enough, I think ESO has actually done a lot of content where it has been bloody hard, but they've been so quick to then nerf it down for the masses. It's like, why not create a whole new level then? Right. Extreme veteran, leave it as that's what they should do for future content. Rather than nerf it, just say, okay, we're going to leave this and call it the extreme hard mode or whatever. And now we've nerfed it. This is the new vet mode.
Final Fantasy 14 did that. They called it Savage.
Yeah,
They're like,
exactly.
oh, this is the original difficulty that no one could beat it on the PTS and in testing when we had it. So we're just gonna call it Savage and give you a special achievement if you can beat it. Here you go. Some people in chat, Stefan Willie says, yeah, the issue is no form of communication. We'd raid more if we could communicate. I actually didn't even take that into consideration when I uttered my first statement, just the raw facts. But yeah, I can see you guys doing that as a whole. But I still don't think your numbers for console, with the exception of a few people, but you can actually talk to other console players. A few of you guys would be big raiders. I'm not saying you're not, but as a whole, the majority of the people who probably bought the game for console bought it because they liked Skyrim on their Xbox or their PS4. And they're used to that solo game. And they'll even tell you that. That's what they're interested in. And you have a much higher majority than the PC players, who many of us came from other MMOs who are used to this type of gameplay. Obi's in chat. Sorry. Hey, Obi. Yeah, I'm just trying to address some of the chat. Hey, Obi. Elfin Drago, what's this about housing? We are going to get to that next.
I was just going to say about the console guys that you're right, but then that's because they're a relatively young MMO community.
Yes.
So not only they only come here because of Skyrim, so they're used to doing things alone. They're not familiar with the whole, unless they did Final Fantasy 14 or some of the old things.
And even that's fairly new.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all fairly new stuff. So it's technically they're a very young community for MMO. So
yeah,
before long, once they all get to VR14, they start sitting there twiddling their thumbs because it's like, well, what am I soloing? There's nothing to solo. They'll all be starting to embrace the MMO style. They'll be running around in Stormhaven trying to find people for their guilds or whatever, and they'll suddenly start trying to do these trials. And before you know it, they're going to have their own hardcore community of raiders, and that'll eventually grow to the point where it'll be as big as it is here. Because let's face it, when MMOs first came out here, it's not like everyone was, I'm going to do an MMO so I can raid. It was, no, I just want to do an MMO so I can play with others and, experience it in a group or whatever.
Right.
Like it's D&D online, so they didn't really think beyond 6 people. It's just the games provided it, and suddenly like, wow, this is really exciting. So, yeah, they'll get there. So again, if ESO decides to think, well, everyone's happy with solo and we'll just keep it all small from now on, it'll be a mistake because another MMO is going to come along and they're going to go, hey, we've got everything. So now that you've whet your appetite on online gaming.
As much as I love ESO, I'm in that boat right now because of the shoddy practices these guys have. If another MMO that has good lore, rating, and all the stuff I want, I'd probably jump to it. I mean, I'm looking at some indie ones right now that are coming out or, are being planned, and I'm looking at their manifestos, and I'm like, hey, this is interesting in the next, 5-6 years when you guys are, finally out there, what's gonna happen? Like, will ZOS hold me that long? I don't know. I honestly don't know if ZeniMax as a company can hold me as long as World of Warcraft did. I really don't.
Indie is the way for me to go from now on. That's where I'll be going next. I've got my eye on a couple of games for 2017.
Yeah, you and I were talking about that before too. Yeah, I have my eyes on those same games as well because those indie developers aren't so interested in the get in, get out kind of gameplay that the AAA industry is moving towards.
Well, they're not committing so much money that they have no choice. A lot of these games have been done even without crowdfunding at all, some of them. So it's like, well, we're making this game, so with or without players, we're going to make it. And if we get players, great. So yes, it's going to be subbed. Yes, it's going to be group-only content. And no, we don't really give a crap whether you like that. If you do, great.
And that's all the things I like. Sub community content? Oh my goodness. And Stefan says, Destiny isn't the best example, but their endgame raids are proving the console community is somewhat interesting. Yeah, and Asteldian made a perfect point. If you think about it, the MMO community on the PC is, 20 years old now? Because I think that's when Ultima Online and some of the other ones are even older than that. But the MMO proper, we're 20 years old now. You guys are, what? Like, I'm trying to think. I think Final Fantasy 11 was on console.
It did, but I guess it's...
But at best, you're 10 years old? Maybe. I'm thinking it's even less than that.
Well, I say that's a real stretch to count that, to be honest.
Yeah, at best, your community is half the age of the PC MMO community. So yeah, you guys could very well be very interested in it. But as he said, you guys are just still discovering what it is to MMO on a console. That used to be a PC-only thing. Like, there was no way. So, and even the market then was so Well, it was kind of like the PC market back in the day where you get 20,000 people playing your game and you're essentially World of Warcraft. You know what I mean? That was amazing. 20,000 people. Nowadays, an MMO with 20,000 people is getting shut down by NCSoft.
Well, you think EverQuest 1 probably peaked at like 400,000 people or whatever.
And that was
like the
insane at the day, right? That was...
Yeah, it's grand success.
People
Nowadays,
were doing commercials with that. Over 400,000 players. If an MMO did that nowadays, people would rip it apart going, it's failing.
I was going to say, you go buy to play. Is what happens when you do that nowadays.
You're going buy to play, free to play. That's what you're doing. Yeah. It's a different era nowadays, and especially with the World of Warcraft market, it kind of set a bar that I don't think... They came at a time when MMOs were not mainstream. Like I said, 400,000 players was the most played MMO in the world, okay? They came at a time when there were not a lot of options out there, and they just did a lot of stuff right. Made it very accessible. Other MMOs were not very accessible. They made the game accessible. But now the suits, more or less, look at us going, well, if you don't at least hit World of Warcraft numbers, you're a failure. But they don't think that now the market is so full because the market is essentially 12 million players, where before it was only 500,000 players. Now there's a very large market for MMOs, so everyone's jumping into it. There's a lot more options. That's how it goes.
Between that and the money people are spending on their games, they've got no choice. But if they don't meet 1 million subs or whatever, they can't keep it subbed because they're not making the money back fast enough. It's just insane amounts they're spending. They're going overboard on it. It's like, whoa, dial it back a bit.
Elfin Drago says, I've heard that Elder Scrolls 6 won't be out till 2019 at least. I can actually agree with that because I think it was, who was it? Was it Pete Hines or
Pete
Todd
Hines.
Howard? One of them was like, listen, we're not going to develop this game while we also have Fallout and all that stuff. Like, yeah, you're looking at, like, they're like, we're not even in concept phase for Elder Scrolls 6 because we've been working on Fallout and this is our next thing. So, yeah, you're looking at a very long time. And ESO, like, yeah, you're feeling what a lot of us are feeling right now because, Elfin Drago, you're hitting the point where, yeah, you have 4 VR14s, right? You're hitting, like, with a lot of us other PC players and stuff like that who we've been playing the same damn content for, 9 months now? 10 months now? Like, we've tore through it. Like, before, like, and I'm a slow player. I still got questing to do and stuff like that, like, because I do my other stuff. But it's really, for a lot of people who grinded through it or who are playing the game, who play it very regularly, like, I'm going to do my playtime right now. I played for over 39 days straight on this game. And that's not even a lot compared to some people because I got a job, I have a son now, so I can't play as often. But even I struggle with going, do I want to log in today? Not because I don't love the game, but because what do I have to do? And that should never be a question on an MMO. If you have to log in, think about, what do I really want to log in? Is there anything for me to do? Unless you're one of those top 1% people who burn through everything in the first day, that should never come across your lips. And that's what's happening.
Yeah, you'll go through phases where you think, oh, I'm a bit burnt out, and I'll take a little break stuff. When you come back, you're like, yeah, I've missed this. Yeah. But the problem you've got now is you come back and think, oh, I haven't missed this much at all.
I haven't missed this. I did it all 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for the amazing community, and the community, not ZeniMax. I mean, I love the ZeniMax guys. Don't get me wrong. They're a good bunch of people. But them as a company, as of right now, I'm not very impressed with, is because of the community, because we do a show, that I play as often as I do. I honestly think I probably wouldn't be playing as often as I do if it wasn't for the fact of the community behind us. Because I would have already done everything. You know, that's pretty much what it is. I mean, I have some hard mode stuff to do, but I haven't even been actively trying it because I'm not worried about finding the best players to do it on. Because in Warcraft, it's like, oh, I got to find my players. I got to do this stuff, you know, because the next raid will be out soon, right? That's not necessarily the case right now, because I'm not in a hurry to do much of anything because I'm like, does it really matter?
Well, that comes back to the carrot again, doesn't it? It's also because there's no actual gear you need from any of that harder content. So
Oh yeah, I'm in
if
the
you miss
best
it all
in slot
out,
gear right now.
it's no big deal. It's not like the next trial's coming. Like, oh, I got to get the other trials done, so I got that gear so that I can then be ready for the next trial. It's a case of I've already got the best gear. It doesn't matter. I could miss all the trials and then turn up whenever they bring something out.
Right.
Not a big deal.
Right. Absolutely. And as Elfandreas, I hope that they have 3 DLCs come out this year. I hope they stick to that 3-month thing as well. But I still got to ask the question: are these DLCs going to be worth it? Even like, I mean, Orsinium's going to be a new zone. Okay, great. Are they going to add a trial in this zone? Are they going to add dungeons? Are they going to add stuff for lots of different people to play? Or is it going to be like in Dark Brotherhood? Are they going to add a new zone? I doubt it. Are they going to add, what are they going to add? Is it just going to be a quest? Is it going to be a quest line and a new skill line? Because they did that with the justice system thing, which was fun, and I actually think it's one of the best systems in the game. But let's face it, if they just add a quest line and a new skill line, how long is that really? Is that going to last people 3 months? I doubt it. I really doubt it, unless they add some sort of sandboxy replayability. But if it's just a quest line and a new skill line, people are going to be done with that in 2-3 weeks tops, and then they still have got 2.5 months of waiting till the next DLC.
So I got a question. When Test 6 finally releases, do you think we're gonna see a really big drop on the consoles? Like no one's gonna even be playing ESO anymore?
Yes.
Because in my thought, everybody's just waiting for the Elder Scrolls 6. And not everybody, I'm sorry, not everybody. A lot of the console players, a lot of the single player Elder Scrolls fans are waiting for this game, including myself. And this game, truthfully for me, I didn't come into this game going, I'm an MMO player, I can't wait to do raids and this stuff. I came into this game going, they added my Elder Scrolls content to an MMO, I gotta play it.
Yeah.
Because me personally, when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, I probably won't touch this game or any other game for a very long time, because
Sure.
I'm very much a one-man game.
Sure.
A one game kind of guy, and the single player Elder Scrolls games are where a lot of people are coming from. So it's just something to think about.
And I actually completely agree with you. I'm an MMO player, and I love the Elder Scrolls as a universe. So when they came out with an MMO that was in my favorite universe, I was all like, oh my goodness. But I do agree, the majority of players, I think when single player Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, there's going to be a lot. And that's one of the reasons why Elder Scrolls 6 is not going to come out for many, many years.
Yeah,
why would they sink their own ship? Because Bethesda is getting money off it. Like ZeniMax Media, which is the overall company, they're not going to release Elder Scrolls 6 when this game just came to consoles, because that's kind of like, shooting your own self in the foot. Wasting all the money you put into development for this game, because the single player fans, who you have very lot of, are going to go, screw this, I didn't like the MMO anyway, I'm just playing it because it's Elder Scrolls, and now I have a single player one? Yeah.
On the flip side, though, I think what ESO will have done, even when it finishes its legacy, will have been that, like with World of Warcraft, obviously not to the extreme, it would have brought a lot of players in. Like I said, they came to play because it was an Elder Scrolls game, and then they've discovered, hey, actually, I really like the whole social aspect and playing a high fantasy type game with other people. So it's going to bring a whole new, basically the consoles, the next demo that comes along is going to be grateful for ESO, because it's going to have a whole new bunch. You know what? Actually, I really enjoyed playing an MMO. I'm going to go do that. You'll even have some. I mean, I know a lot of the hardcore fan base will obviously go to the next Elder Scrolls game, but you'll have some who realize, actually, no, it's an MMO of Elder Scrolls I prefer to be in, because, like, for example, me, I find single player games very tedious. So, I play MMOs, so I wouldn't jump to that. And you'll have some people who will end up staying because they're not interested anymore, and they're going to be a whole new generation of new MMOs because of this game.
Yeah.
Oh, I completely agree. But like you said, the MMOers and et cetera, the amount of single player Elder Scrolls fans that you converted from console to being, hey, I really like MMOs, there's a percentage. But you're gonna lose tons of players when 6 comes out. So there's no way.
I mean, I can say this. This game has introduced me to MMOs to where I want to play more MMOs.
Sure.
So that's one of the amazing things. Like I've already went out and truthfully I've attempted a couple other MMOs. I've tried Arcade. Don't ask why. It was free. I downloaded it. It was awful. But
Yeah,
anyways,
I can look into that, but yeah,
we won't get into that. But anyways, so I've been trying other MMOs just to kind of see the whole aspect of,
sure.
is it just ESO I like, or is it the aspects of the MMO? And I'm starting to learn. I really like the aspects of an MMO video game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good it's a really good introduction as an MMO to single player people, because the game is very straightforward. You can play it solo or you can jump in with your friends.
Sure.
I don't know much other MMOs, so I can't say, oh, WoW's like that too, or other games.
It actually kind of is now. They've
Okay.
made it pretty much soloable up until raids, which is at end game. There's really no other reason. So yeah.
And like you guys said before, it seems like most MMOs are going that direction now, where you can play it single player too.
Yeah.
All the AAAs are.
Yeah, they all are. But yeah, all right. Well, before we're gonna talk about the next thing here, but that was a good conversation, guys. I really did like that, and good work. I like how that just organically went. Chat room, thank you so much for picking up and being active. Thank you. That was, you guys provided a lot to us as well. We really appreciate that. That's really great. Okay. And Obi, yeah, we did talk about. They said they are working on another trial. Kind of what spawned this entire conversation. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna move on to. I just like saying okay. What I really want to talk about is they've officially announced that they are indeed working on housing. Like, it's not something that before they're like, oh yeah, it's kind of like on our roadmap. We're interested. They've confirmed today, or not today, but whatever day it was that ESO Live happened, that they are indeed actively working. They have a team actively working on consoles, or not consoles, housing. This excited me for a couple things because I love housing, and a lot of the Elder Scrolls fans were like, this is great because this is the one thing that I felt like was missing from this game to really make it feel like Elder Scrolls, was the fact that there was no housing. So that was exciting. What were your guys' thoughts?
I really like housing, but at the same time, like, if housing in this game is just more on the line of like when you first make a new character, you start in that little tiny house. Like, if that was your house and it's pretty much just like you have 2 chests in there that you can store your stuff, I'm not the biggest fan of that idea. But if it's like a complete interactable house where you can change the furniture, where you can craft stuff for your house, where you can make it bigger and make it 2 stories, spread it out, things like that, that would be amazing. Just even though it will take people away from the game a little bit, but hey, I think it'll be amazing.
I feel like they would have to do that just because all the other games so far, like the other games that have housing, like WildStar and Final Fantasy 14, have that interactable, like you can move furniture around, you can decorate it. Like, I feel like just buying a room that gave you extra storage space would not satisfy in today's market.
Yeah.
Asteldian, what about you, sir?
Housing is a concept totally lost on me. I do not understand people's obsession with it. It's just this, for me, it's just this real big, pointless time waster of, oh, look, my house looks pretty. I'm just going to pay some gold to upkeep it. I'm going to pay some gold for this furniture. I own a house in real life. I have a mortgage, and it's endless. It's an endless money sink. Why I'd want to have the same crap in game? Going, oh my god, I got to pay 1,000 gold for this damn house, and next thing you know, it's, oh no, the plumbing's broken. It's like, you may as well go all out. Make some crazy ass things that go around. It's game after game. EverQuest 2, the lot of them. I've just never been interested in housing, even the guild housing, which was a cool concept because it's a place where all your guilds meet up. But that was even worse because then cities became barren because everyone was all ported back to their guild house and sat in there all day long. And again, you can make that look pretty, and I don't understand why you people love it. It does not do it for me at all. It's just a complete
I think it's the the desire to own something in the world, like to make it part of yourself. That's one of my things, and like being able to quote unquote live in the world is something that I like. I like being able to work on things and do stuff like that. And Stephen Willie says in chat, I have a feeling it's going to be similar to the Final Fantasy XIV's instance neighborhood system. I think I was talking to you guys about that a little bit in before the show.
Yep.
I do agree. Here's the thing I kind of want to question. I want to ask chat room this as well. Final Fantasy XIV system is neat, where they essentially have the same zone. Like you walk through a gate and you're in a housing neighborhood. Like and it had X amount of plots. In that game, I think it was like 24 plots or something like that. And the prices were different depending on the location. Like, oh, the one up on the hill is a mansion. That is so much gil in that game, and the smaller one that's kind of like a back alley one is super cheap because it doesn't have a nice view, and just things like that. The prices would change, but once you bought it, it was done. And Final Fantasy 14, like I own a house in 14 now. I don't even play 14 anymore, but my house doesn't go away, so I'm eating up server space in that game, and I don't even play. Do you guys feel like if they go with this instance neighborhood system, do you guys feel like they'll go with one of the old school with having to pay rent? Like that was something in other games that you had to pay rent. Like you had to go, they're like, oh, it's 1,000 gold a week, and you could only put up to like a month's worth of thing ahead of time. So you had to constantly play or else you would lose your house. What do you guys think about that? Would you like to see that? Because I'm thinking if people stop playing, especially since this is buy to play, why should ZOS have to pay for the extra hardware to maintain these other servers if people aren't playing?
I don't know. I think the whole idea of it being an instance neighborhood and you having to pay gold for your house like rent, I think if that's the way they go with the instant neighborhood, they're gonna do it like that. But I don't know why I'm picturing their housing system more on the line of like one of the houses in the cities that's not interactable. Everybody can go and enter that house, but once you enter the house, it's your own zone. And but yeah, but if they did it like that, I wouldn't expect them to charge rent or anything of that sort, unless a house is actually good for you. You have bank space in there, you have all these places to store your stuff, and it's worth paying the gold for. But if it's just a house where I can design it and sit down in it and go, yeah, this is my house. And no, I wouldn't like the idea of them paying monthly for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like, I don't even think it has to be like when we talk about paying money, it doesn't even have to be real money. I'm just saying.
No, gold.
Yeah, gold.
No, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Okay.
I meant gold,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
If you put in storage, suddenly housing becomes much. Even for something like me, I'm like, hello, there's actually something useful here.
Yeah, exactly.
And I become far more interested in the idea of it, rent or no rent, if I can get a load of space.
But then banks become obsolete.
Not
like,
necessarily.
why go to your
It
bank?
just would be if you buy a house, depending on the size of the house. Say it's a small house, and it costs, I don't know, we'll just say 1 million gold in game. You get an extra 20 slots. But when you go into your house, you also access your bank. Like you just
Okay,
open
I
a
was just
chest
gonna
and
ask that too.
hey, all 170 slots are there plus the 20 from my house. This is great. Or if you bought the thing that's 40 million gold, that's the mansion, that's an extra 100 slots.
Or possibly the fact is banks obviously are shared across all your characters. With your house, you'd have to get into your house to be able to access that stuff. So your bank's fully accessible, but in any town you go to. Whereas the housing stuff, you have to go to your actual house to get it. So it's less convenient.
Yeah. Definitely. I don't know. Would it work for the extra space? I'd do it.
Yeah, it's worth it to me. It's worth the gold if it has the incentive to go inside and be able to actually do something that benefits the game. If I can go in with only 10 bank space or bag space and loot it all out and walk out with 0 bag space, hey, that was worth the gold to buy the house to me right there. And then if they add all the things on top of that, going, oh, you can add furniture, you can add this, you can change the color of the inside. Oh, then yeah, you keep taking my gold.
You keep taking my gold.
You're doing it right.
Now, here's a question that they were saying, depending on whether you... Jeff Carnes in chat had made up a good point. I'm going to roll into this. They said they're working on this, right? And they have all these different teams. Now, the thing I'm thinking is, are we thinking we're going to see this with one of the Dark Brotherhood, or like, are we going to see it within the next 3, or do you think that the IC crowd has moved on? And with that, do you feel housing is going to be a DLC? And the reason why I say this is because if you had a house and it came with storage or whatever, if you're a paying subscriber, obviously you wouldn't buy the DLC, right? Because you're a paying subscriber. But do you lose access to your house and all that extra storage if you stop subscribing for a month?
I don't think it's going to be DLC simply because if, say you get the DLC and they're like, okay, well, you bought the DLC, so you automatically get to have this house until the DLC runs out and we take the house away from you. But if they have different houses and different sizes of the houses you can buy, or you can buy one that has 40 bank slots and this one has 20 bank slots, then that kind of... I don't know if I'm making sense too much right now. I kind of got off topic, but...
No. It's an interesting thought, because I'm sitting here thinking, how would they do this? Like, could they even make it DLC without people losing access? Or would this be a DLC you could only buy? Like, I don't like the idea of buying a house in a Crown store, okay? But I'm sort of okay with requiring you to buy the DLC in the Crown store, regardless if you're a subscriber or not, as long as it's priced accordingly. Do you want a house? Great. It's 500 crowns. Doesn't mean that you get a house. It just means you can buy one in a town with gold. I'd be okay with that, because then it's yours all the time, right?
But then wouldn't it be kind of like DLC. Final Fantasy? With the whole, you have a house.
Not necessarily. It just means you're not eligible to buy a house unless you bought the DLC.
But if you're a ESO Plus member, you already have the DLC.
Well, no, that's what I was talking about with it going. This would be a DLC that you don't get with ESO Plus, but it would be a cheap DLC.
I see.
It would be like, oh, it's only 500 crowns, but it allows you to enter the house. It would be like the Hearthfire expansion for Skyrim. It was really cheap. It was like $5. But that would only give you the ability to get the DLC, not necessarily give you the ability to actually get a house. It's just, I can imagine the house, like if you were a subscriber, they would want it to be that you'd have access to it all the time. Well, how's the best way to do that? Would be to require it to be a cheap DLC to buy, but then go, okay, now that you bought it, you can now go into a store, into a housing area and purchase a house with in-game gold. That way you can buy a specific house you want for the amount of gold you want, and it doesn't matter whether or not you've paid for it or our sub. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a DLC. I think it'll be part of a base game of a DLC patch.
Yeah, or an item you have to buy in the Crown store to
Well, the reason for that is
make it like
a base game. Everyone has it. If everyone has it, then when they bring out little basic furniture you can buy and stuff, everyone might be interested in getting Crown store items to make their house pretty. It's an easy moneymaker. It's easy to have as a base game. What you could do, and I know some people would complain, but arguably comes out as a base part, where Jason's, you've got this, you buy a house, you have rent on it or whatever. I'd have rent, to be honest. And it might be, but if you're a ESO Plus member, that technically pays your rent for you. People will complain, of course, because that's money being saved there, but, well, we already get 10% bonus on money, so where do you draw the line? But that's how I'd kind of expect it. Could be wrong, but I don't see it as a DLC idea, really. I think it, even if it's, like you said, the idea of it being an item you buy and then this bonus of being a sub, I think it would, even if it was only 500 crowns, it would grate on the ESO Plus members to find out this is a DLC which isn't coming as part of our sub bonus, and that'd just be annoying. Because it's like, yeah, you get all DLCs.
What else aren't we going to get?
Yeah, exactly. It starts asking the question. And yeah, so I think they'd probably keep it clear from that. I would imagine it's a base update. Probably, I reckon it'll be after the announced DLCs, because I think, as I say, all their teams are working on something. Although the team's already working on the housing, they said, so maybe that's part of one of the DLCs. Come out with the thieves, so you can get a house and everyone can steal everything in your house.
Yeah, you can steal everything.
That's the way to do it.
Steph and Willie mirrors my thoughts exactly. I hope the housing feature, our housing furniture and stuff factors into the crafting system. And then to get better or more unique furniture, or maybe have some stuff in the crown store. I really do think almost everything should be craftable to give crafters something else to sell. Because right now, what do crafters sell? I mean, really, there's not a lot. It's hey, because most of the sets that are best in slot are very low end sets that only require someone to be, crafting for like a week to get, right?
Yeah.
So like the people like me who farmed got like 9 out of 9, how many people really asked for Twiceborn Star? Like nobody. I don't think I've ever gotten a single request for Twiceborn Star except for maybe one time in my life, okay? So is it like, does it really matter? I don't honestly think it does. I really don't think it does, but craft housing items would be something that people would be, hey, I'm interested in that. I'll buy that. But I don't think it should be part of the crown store either, other than maybe special items.
Actually, I disagree the other way around. I think the most basic, boring, mundane stuff should be ground story stuff you can buy to sort of give your house some basic furnishings, and your crafters are the ones who can say, well, I can make this decorative looking ornate one. And the crown store can have weird sort of seasonal stuff, let's say here's a mistletoe or whatever, but in general it'd be like, oh, well, I can buy a nice basic house with a load of nonsense from the crown store, and it's like, oh, but I want a really ornate 4-poster bed. Well, that's where you need your crafter specialists, because again, if the crafters can make the basic stuff, you've kind of got the same point you just mentioned earlier with, well, all the good sets only take 3 research items to do anyway. And it would be the same argument for the basic items. Like, well, any new crafter can make that basic gear, so you're not really going to make any money out of it because it's a couple of days of crafting and you can make it yourself. So sell the basic stuff and have actual recipes for cooler looking stuff. I think because otherwise it's annoying if you go, oh yeah, you can make this nice basic stuff, but if you want the cool, funky looking stuff, go buy it on our crown store. It's like, that's a wasted opportunity, I've mastered my crafting. I want to be able to make silly, cool items for you guys.
Yeah, it's sort of what I'm dealing with right now. Like my crafting, other than my own personal self, I don't really even use it for much because other than selling materials, like the upgrade materials and stuff, no one wants the services. Because
I've never sold an armor set.
Huh?
I've never sold an armor set.
I've only sold like 1 or 2, and it was for somebody who was testing a build. They're like, I want to try Twiceborn Star, and I can't find anyone who can get it. There's nothing really above 5, which literally only takes like a week to do. Because
everyone has friends who can make it for that reason.
Yeah, but I mean, even so, it doesn't take a lot of the good sets, the Hunding's Rage, the Magus set, the Twilight Embrace, the crafted sets people want are intentionally super low that it's like, well, I can craft it myself. Just give me a week to research the 3 traits I need.
Yeah, which also makes it even easier to find guildies who've got it as well. So again, you never really have to buy anything because someone can make it. Lots can make it.
Yeah, I'm a 9-star crafter, 9-trait crafter. And how many times have my services really been required for those high end? Very, very rarely. Because the higher end set bonuses just kind of suck.
Yeah.
Ooh, I can test out putting a user in timeout. Oh, that's what timeout does. It actually limits. It doesn't kick them from the group, but doesn't let them talk in chat for 5 minutes. That's actually kind of neat. I like
Sends a turd to their letterbox.
Huh?
Sends a turd to their letterbox. Google has all, or YouTube has all your information anyway.
Oh, that's true. Right.
So that's what they should be doing.
Right. It's
So,
funny.
Someone being naughty, huh?
Someone being naughty. Yeah. It's just kind of funny.
Silent treatment.
I thought it was funny. I got to test it out. That's neat. But yeah, I don't know. I like the reason why I feel like there needs to be some sort of rent system is only because server hardware. What happened in Final Fantasy? Like I said right now, they haven't even released new server, new neighborhoods because it's a lot of server hardware that's required to maintain these houses. And for people who aren't playing, should they be maintained? Like right now, my house is being maintained on a server that I haven't played in months. And the worst part is active players on my server can't even buy houses because they haven't released any new housing zones. So it's like, wow, every one of the neighborhoods is full, but these guys haven't played in a year. And Zos is going, I'm sorry, we don't have the money to make new server hardware. Maybe with the next patch we'll add another another layer of housing. You know, if you're gonna do instance neighborhoods, I almost feel like unless you have really deep pockets and can maintain that extra server space, that there needs to be some sort of rent, whether it's ESO Plus subscription or a gold allowance that you have to pay to keep your house.
Or they might even take the lazy option that EQ2 had, where it's just everyone runs to the same door and goes into their own personal house.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but even
But
that,
even they made you pay rent.
yeah, even that required server space. And Obi, no, I didn't put you in timeout. It was another user. I don't know why it would have stopped, but yeah, that's like it's just server space that you're having to put in, right? Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's you should have to pay for what you're using. And if you're paying, like, you don't have to play the game for months, but if you're paying the ESO sub, then fine, keep your house. If you're not paying the sub, you should have to do something to maintain the house, whether it's gold or something, just to show that you're actively playing. And if you lose the house, I think they should just send you all your mail and a furniture. You know, like all your furniture you bought, made, they should just put it in a mail, like the expired items, and have it sent back to you going, sorry, you didn't pay your house rent. You now lost your plot, but here's all your stuff. So go buy another house.
Either that or your door's just locked.
Well, you'd want to be able to access your stuff, like, you know, like whatever, just have it sent to you. I don't even mind that once you've, like, you bought the house, if you don't really care, like if the storage stays because you bought it, that's fine. It just gets added to your bank then. I think it's fine, as, you know, some people might like that idea of the extra space in the house just to play with. I would love going to my house to store stuff. I would. That would just be something that I would love to do. It's just how I like to play the games. I spent so much time in Skyrim just messing around in the house going, hey, I can put stuff here, put stuff there.
Yeah, me too. A lot of time.
Shameless time wasters.
That's essentially what it was. I think the majority of like my 1,000 hours in Skyrim, probably like 500 of that was me just, I'm going to put all of my herbs in this pouch next to the herb station. I'm going to put all my weapons in the chest next to the bed.
And then I'm going to never touch them again.
And never touch them again, but I knew they were there, so I was happy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good
I
old,
think
old Skyrim.
rent makes sense. For
I
sure.
need a quest is requiring a sapphire. Oh, that's up in the second floor in the chest next to the bed.
Yeah.
It's just for you hoarders. That's what you use them for. It's like, I
No,
don't want to
pretty much.
stuff.
Pretty
MMO
much.
housing is terrible for hoarders. It's just like, yep, I'm hoarding everything. Yep, nope.
Single player games too. They're going to give you 500 helmets that you can get throughout the game. Well, gosh, I got to find somewhere to put the other 499.
Especially if they have a unique look. It's like, well, maybe I like that look, or it has a cool name, and I like that name. Yeah. Daedric Plains of Oblivion. This is something I talked about a long time ago in one of our earlier housing episodes where we were first theorizing. The idea for the infinite area is wonderful. I really think it is. But I can tell you myself, personally, I would actually prefer not to have that. And the main reason for that is I would want a house, like in the Oblivion, you can do whatever you want. And I understand the idea behind that sounds amazing, because it really does. But I also like the idea of being able to have a house in a land that I know I love, like in Skyrim, like in Markarth. Could I have a house there? Oh my goodness, I would love it to death. Just because I like Markarth, you know, or whatever. Would players in your group be able to go into your house? Obi, I actually think they would, because even in World of Warcraft with the garrison system where everyone had their own garrison, you could invite your friends to your house. And I think that housing would be great for the roleplay community. Could you imagine someone having a roleplay event in their house?
Oh, yeah.
I could see that being a massive thing.
Well, interestingly enough, in EQ2, you used to have a house, and in there you could actually put a market board up so that you could sell like an auction house. from your house, and people, if they want to avoid the taxes, could actually go and visit your house, enter your house to buy the item there to save like a 10-15%
Oh yeah.
transport tax. So if ever they decide that, because I know obviously a lot of people don't like the whole you have to be in a guild to sell stuff. If they decide that maybe your house could give you a limited sales of like 5 items or 10 items or whatever, and it goes in a market board, you could have a whole new auction house thing, which is based on market boards.
And then everyone would be able to sell.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like
limited,
that idea.
albeit limited compared to being in a guild, but it would.
I would be fine with that.
Possibility.
Yeah,
You
me
own
too.
a house, you zone it like, and people could zone in like they goes which instance do you want to go to. It could be just like any other house or any other. You go to the center, there's a market board, and you could literally browse everybody's stores.
Yeah, and again, that's convenient, but like in EQ2, there is a transport tax, as it were. So that might be it's 20% more. Whatever the person set up, there's also 20% fee you pay.
Sure.
But again, if you want to visit their house, you can eliminate that 20% fee and go to their house and get the item if you want. So you have the convenience factor, which you pay a premium for, or you kind of take away some of that convenience factor of going to their house and doing it, or of course you can just go to a trader themselves and go from the shops there. It's just another avenue which helps bring closer towards the auction house that I know people love, whilst not getting rid of what exists, keeping it a bit more, I don't know, sort of real, rather than just saying, hey, here's this magical auction house where you can buy everything and put it. And again, because you also restrict how many items you can put on, you'll probably find the more premium items is what you probably find from people's houses, because they can't just sell any on nonsense. And you might find the guild traders tend to sell them more. Here's a load of materials I'm selling, etc. But on your own house, it might be, here's that ravaging piece of gear you're wanting, because it's few and far between items you can put on there, but you may as well put high items on that people will see.
All right. Well, we've been talking this for a while, and while I would love to keep going on, we're nearing 2 hours already, and we still got some more stuff to go into. So let's go ahead and roll right into our gameplay for this week, because I know at least one of us has some really exciting news. So I'm going to ask Asteldian to go first.
Ah. Well,
and then I'll go, and then we'll save Avi for last.
That makes sense. Save the best for last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not done a huge amount. I've got my DK mostly through Green Shade now. Me and the wife have been playing through that area. That's been
the dreaded Green Shade.
Fun. I don't mind Green Shade after Gratwood. It just feels good. Just to be
okay.
away from there. So anywhere feels good. But yeah, so run through there. Had a weird quest the other day which involved watching the groundskeeper change over to another one or something. I totally misread the quest. It said, watch the groundskeeper change. Like, that's a bit pervy. What kind of quest is this? I'll just pop on over to his private quarters and slowly watch him take his socks off.
Yeah, take off those trousers.
That's it. A bit creepy. But yeah, so that's gone pretty well. Been having fun. Finally got my DK out of his level 40 gear.
Oh, nice.
At VR5, I finally decided to treat him to a new set of gears, take me till the end. Other than that, obviously my sorcerer is now in Cold Harbor, so I finished Bankerai on him. Not really done anything with my Templar. Like we were saying earlier, there's not really anything I need to do. I could collect a gold key or two, I guess, but yeah, whatever. So he's kind of resting at the moment. I think that's pretty much all I've done. I've not been on the PTS much at all. So not done any raiding either. So fairly quiet week for me.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to go next. And I haven't done a whole lot either. I've been... I got to do the Pledge Night on Tuesday. Got to play through that a little bit. That was fun. Except for the fact that I got so fed up with being a freaking vampire in Darkshade. After wiping a bunch of times with the group, I'm like, screw it. Everyone take 5.
I
my
remember
vampirism.
that. I was there for that. That was
I was
funny.
like, no, this is awful. I'm dying in like one hit. No, forget this. Everyone take 5. I'll be back. Cured. Hey, we finished it after that because the healer wasn't dying in one shot to almost everything that does fire damage in that place. So I know who else was it? It was Single Malt. He was with us, and he cured.
No, for that one, it was me, you, Krabby, and Kilted.
No, we went again though. I think.
Oh, you went again?
Yeah, we went in there again, and even at VR14, which was what Single Malt was, he was a vampire. He went and cured himself too afterwards. because it was rough. It was rough. We were like, no, no. Um, then on Thursday, I showed up for our. Why am I drawing a blank here? For our Craglorn night. Yeah, but there wasn't really a lot of people on. It was actually kind of a quiet night, and it's like, oh, well, since there wasn't a lot of people on, I got with Cheese for a little bit, and we were trying to find a group to run a vet pledge, but unfortunately we weren't able to do that. So while we were waiting for Dungeon Finder and me to spam in chat, we were playing Hearthstone. I won 3 of the 4 times, so that was pretty nice. I like that. But then afterwards, he was getting ready to log off, so I found someone was doing hard mode Hellra. So I went and was learning that a little bit. That was fun. We didn't down it, but it was fun. It was still fun. Still very difficult. Like, really, really difficult stuff.
The gargoyles.
The gargoyles, exactly. And the group we had, it was kind of rough, but yeah, we did that, and that was about it, I think, for me this week. So not a ton. And this next week is also going to be kind of rough on me, particularly because I got some work projects that need to get done. So, like, our Craglorn night this week is probably going to be canceled because I think I'm going to be working that night, which is unfortunate, but not a lot of things I can do about that, just because I have a project that needs done and it just needs done. So, sad but true. All right. I guess since there's no one else, I'm just kidding.
That's all we got. That's all we got time for.
That's all we got time for. Sorry, everyone. So come back next week. All right, Avi. What did you do this week?
I didn't do much, Played on my lobies a little bit. Yeah, just sold some, made some gold.
Oh, yeah.
No, in reality, I kept what I said last episode. I got my character up to VR 14.
All right, hold on a second. I gotta yell to Thais here. Thais! Even Avi got VR 14 before you. He's the slowest person ever. Okay, done.
Oh man, hilarious.
She's probably gonna beat me, but it's worth it.
I mean, I can say right now that I never want to see another zombie like ever again.
You
like,
want to come and watch The Walking Dead later?
No, I despised grinding, and then last week Kip took me in there, and I got a quarter of a veteran rank in I think 10 minutes or something. It was so fast, and I was on the XP scroll, and I just couldn't believe it. So I stayed in that one spot the whole time, and got the VR 14. And I'm a little tired. Since then, I've been just running gold pledges, and it's kind of like that South Park episode where the World of Warcraft, the one where they finally beat the guy at the end.
Yeah.
And they go, "Oh, wait, we beat him. Well, what do we do now?" And Carmen goes, "What do you mean? Now we play the game."
Now we finally play the game.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, that's right."
Oh,
so I started.
Don't quote me the World of Warcraft. I can quote the whole thing to you.
But
what if we were super high levels too? We can't get the super high levels because he doesn't let us finish quests. What if we stay in the forest, killing boars? The boars are only worth 2 experience points apiece. You know how long it would take us to get up 30 levels? Yes. 14 days.
I can't even imagine. No way.
Come on, guys. You can just sit out in the sun and play with a ball all day. You can go and sit at your computer and do something that matters.
Those are my kind of people right there.
Yeah, me too.
He said that, and I put my hand on my heart, like, amen, man, amen.
I know. I loved it.
I feel that one. But yeah, I gotta give a shout out, even though I'm probably gonna mess his name up. General Zelda from the Wings of Fate Guild crafted me a full set of hunting since my crafter is awful. So thank you. I told him I was gonna give him a shout out since he wouldn't take anything I was trying to give him for helping me out.
Nice.
So yeah, it was very cool. I've been running gold pledges every night since I got it. So I got 2 keys stacked up now. I'm gonna keep saving them up for VR 16, and that's
Right.
pretty much my game now. You know, that and leveling my Dragon Knight, who's level 35 now. Oh,
We'll have to bring you into some trials and DSA, of course.
I want to run DSA really bad. You guys saw, what was it? That dungeon with the Engine Guardian. That was my first time running that with you guys.
Oh
I've
yeah,
never,
it's fun,
I've
isn't
never,
it?
yeah, we were fighting the Engine Guardian. All of a sudden, he was talking about the boss, and I was like, oh, I've never done this, and he was like, oh, well, you should have probably told me that. Okay, hold on. And I was like, oh. I'm
Right.
learning all the bosses now, and I'm finally figuring out all the fun stuff about the game I've been wanting to learn. So I'm having a lot of fun. And I'm on to VR 14. I'm on to my next character as soon as this patch drops.
Nice.
And that's been my week.
I'm not really into leveling any. Like I want to get all my tunes to VR1, and then I think I'm just gonna ignore them.
I want a
'Cause,
VR 14 of every class. That's really what I want.
so yeah, it's not too bad. It's just I love my Templar. He's the only one I really want to do stuff on. But I would like to have. I guess I really just want to have characters of VR1. That way, if I'm doing something with somebody, no matter what character I'm playing, I'm earning champion points for my main, which is my
Yeah.
Templar. That's the only thing I care about. So.
And one other thing, I need character slots, Cinemax. uh, just FYI, just letting it out there. I've ran out and I need more. You know, it's hard because I really like Daggerfall, so I have four veteran Daggerfall characters, and I'm working on my 5th. But the problem is I don't really have anyone to play with on Daggerfall, so it's
Yeah,
kind
you've
of
been playing with us on EP mostly.
I've been on EP this whole time, but
Blood for the Pact.
I can't get myself to say that.
Blood for the Pact. It's okay,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
Well,
But you know,
yeah.
it really is all Ebonheart since the Wings of Fae is all Ebonheart. I mean, trust me, Asteldian, if you came over here, you'd see that very fast. I want to play Daggerfall so bad, but all my friends are on Ebonheart, so
It's
what
a
can you
pain.
do? Yeah.
You know, it's how it goes. We just made the right decision at character creation.
Yeah.
That's all.
Hey, my first 2 characters were Ebonheart packed, all right, and I sent one of them away to
To
the
Sovngarde.
gods, right, to Sovngarde, exactly.
You can't fool
Oh,
me. I've done the tedious quest line in EP. It's not the right class, not the right choice at all.
no, it is. It is Blood for the Pact.
But one thing that I really like, this is gonna be weird to say. I kind of like Aldmeri Dominion simply
Get off the show.
because
Hold
hold
on,
on,
I gotta mute you.
not the Dominion, but simply because
You fancy Kate Beckinsale. That's understandable.
yeah,
We
no,
understand.
that too. But their what is it called? Their gold content is the Daggerfall. I really like that, you know.
Okay.
That's the only reason. But
Yeah.
like, I hate how the Ebonheart is the Aldmeri Dominion. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, I understand. I hate that too.
It's almost like if what you want your favorite faction to be on, you should join the faction that the gold content is.
Right, because that's where
like.
you want to spend the majority of your time, right? I would love to
Exactly,
spend the
yeah.
majority of my time in Riften, but
Yeah, me too, exactly.
yeah. Well, at least the one nice part is, as they said about earlier, all new zones are going to be battle level to the max level. So no matter what zone, like when other Skyrim zones come out, they'll be max level, and I can just spend all my time there. So,
Yeah, that'll be nice.
all right. That was the end of our gameplay. Let's go ahead and move on to the next little bit because we're really, really strapped for time, which is our guild corner. So, Asteldian, you first, sir.
Yeah, Crucial Sanctorum's still looking for members, although admittedly, as mentioned earlier, it's hard to get the groove going for raids at the moment because there's just so little reason to do them. But we're still around, still pretty active. So if anyone's interested on the EU servers for the Daggerfall faction, then come look us up at crucialsanctorum.engine.com and just apply. I'd say we'd love to get people who were interested in doing raids just for the joy of raiding. If they exist, come join us.
For the joy of raiding. Yeah, I know. I agree. I agree there should be more of that, but we are what we are, right? Okay. Obviously, Avi, why don't you go first?
Oh, yeah, sure. Mortal Entity is a PvE guild for the Daggerfall Covenant, looking for active members, just doing in-game stuff and having fun. You can find me in-game at Avi Optimal or find us at our website at mortalentity.gamerlaunch.com.
Excellent. Okay, finally, Wings of Fate is the community guild for the Dungeon Crawler Network on the North American mega server. We accept all factions, and we have events for all factions currently going. Mostly Aldmari Dominion and Ebonheart Pact are the most amount of faction stuff going on right now. Speaking of events that are going on in Dungeon Crawler Network, let's talk about guild stuff. Obviously, right after the show is from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., which actually in 30 minutes is the Aldmari Dominion Pledge Night. Go ahead and meet in Craglorn. That's going to be hosted by Clan of Orphan. He is our Aldmari Dominion Pledge leader. So if you're interested in doing some pledges tonight, hop on. If you're Aldmari Dominion in Wings of Fate, come on out. On Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. is our Ebonheart Pact Pledge Night. So come on out and be a part of that. And normally Thursday we have our Craglorn night with me, but I think I'm going to have to cancel this week just due to work. I am sorry, everyone, but I do have work stuff that I need to get done this week. Audit required crap that just needs to be done after hours. I can't do it during the day because I work in the IT field. So unfortunately, my night's probably going to be towards that. So that's going to be a thing. So this week's Craglorn night for Ebonheart Pact will unfortunately have to be canceled. If I'm not busy, I might be. If I'm on, I might just do pledges or something. So Thursday night, if I'm not working, I'll be on probably asking people if they want to do pledges. Okay, then that's it for Elder Scrolls related news. There's some other events on there. Chocobo Nights podcast for DCN. That's on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. So if you're interested in Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy 14, check them out right here on this page on youtube.com/c/Dungeon Crawler Network. Why we have to have a C, I don't really know, but we do. So yeah, that's that. All right. We have a giveaway, not a giveaway, a lottery to do, which is like a giveaway. I don't know why it took me so long to figure that out. I was trying to do a lock pick, and it was a hard lock pick. So, all right, are we at a point where we could pull up the stream?
I put up the random.org.
Okay, it's 2 to 101.
Ooh. And your lucky number is 25.
25, and that winner today is me. Woo! Score! Actually, I'll probably just roll the money right back into the raffle. So.
Oh, you sure you need that money for buying your furniture later on?
Ooh, you know what? That's true. I am kind of in a money-making mood at the moment, but yeah. So, I don't know. I'll decide what I want to do with the cash. If I want to roll it back in or not, I might. Just to keep it going and get people going. So remember our raffle. 1,000 gold gets you a ticket. Obviously, the more tickets you buy, the higher chance you have of winning. But of course, then you also have we give 30% of the pot to the winner. So if you do a bunch and we only earn so much money, you may end up losing money. So it'd be nice if everyone in the guild just did one ticket, because then we'd have, an easily large amount of money, and everyone would have equal chances. But we'll see. We'll go where we go as we grow. All right. Guys, that's the end of the show, and this has been a very long one, so... And I didn't say it was going to be a long or short show, but it has been a long one. So let's go ahead and give our final thoughts for the show. Asteldian, why don't you go ahead and go first, sir?
Always fun talking to you guys. Certainly been enjoyable. I'll never understand your love for housing, but for those who enjoy it, I'm glad it's now officially being worked on.
Excellent. Avi, sir.
Very great show, and I'm just happy I'm finally VR 14.
Congrats, sir. Glad you got there.
Thank you.
Now we can do fun stuff.
Now we can play the game.
Now we can finally play the game. All right. Okay. And my final thoughts, of course, are it was a good show. I'm really, really glad. You could have just told me this one. It's okay. I am doing the show, but I can't read some of your stuff. I see a weak stomach that you spelled W-E-E-K. It's W. It looks like W-E-E.
No, that's an A.
Okay, but you need me to clean something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very strange final thoughts there.
I know, those are my
Something.
final thoughts. I have a note that I have to clean something in the nursery. That is what happens when you're a daddy to a baby Nord who is a milk drinker. Because he is a milk drinker.
It exploded.
It exploded? Oh, crud. Oh, crud. It's like a Daedric realm in there. It's so scary. Okay, well, my final thoughts are yay for housing, boo for now I gotta clean up baby poopy. So, that's a thing. All right, I hope everyone enjoyed the show. Of course, you can listen to all of our stuff over at youtube.com/c/Dungeon Crawler Network. And of course, on dungeoncrawlernetwork.com, you can check out all our written guides and all of our past episodes. So thank you so much for listening. We hope to see you again next week. You just listened to another episode of Tales of Tamriel, a Dungeon Crawler Network production. If you want to get involved, please be sure to check out our website at www.dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. Please be sure to follow us on our social media and YouTube channels. We can be found on Twitch at twitch.tv/dungeoncrawlernetwork, on Twitter at dungeoncrawlnet, and at Tales of Tamriel, and on Facebook at facebook.com/Tales of Tamriel podcast. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you next time.